mm, mm. uh, what? Am I live? I think I'm live. Cool. Am I live? Oh yeah. Oh, I guess I am live. All right. So welcome people to another comic journey influences. And in this episode, we're going to be influencing an artiste. His name is Adam Fields, and you're going to get to learn all about him in this wonderful new episode of Comic Journey Influences. And boys and girls, I'm going to play the intro for you guys. That's right. We're going to play the intro, the longest intro in history. And I promise to all the people that are complaining that it's long, I'm going to make it even longer. So enjoy. Yes, it is time for the interview. But before we do that, I just want to say hello to everybody that's in the chat. Hello, Beefit, my mod extraordinaire. Hello, John Stout. Hello to everybody else that's in there. I see you guys' names in there so far, but there's other people lurking because I see other people and they're not writing. So until they write, I can't say hello to them. So until then, what I'm gonna just say that I like these type of interviews a little bit more than normal because it's fun always to be interviewing other content creators and other influential people in our industry. But I got a little bit of bias towards the artists. I like picking the brains of the artists. As you could tell from a lot of times the questions I ask, I get a little bit, deep into the conversation with the artist because I kind of know what I'm talking about. So it works out well. It's good to know what you're talking about when you're asking people questions. And for that reason, and for the reason that I'm going to be having a lot more artists down the line, we're going to make a change to the show. We're going to make a real change. And Kool-Aid, I'm sorry, you lost your job. Sorry, Kool-Aid. You lost your job. You're not going to be a co-host in the influence shows that have to do with artists anymore. Sorry. Oh no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh yeah? No, no, oh yeah. It's oh no. It's oh no. There's no oh yeah. It's only oh no. Oh yeah? No, oh no. Oh no. Do you understand? No, get out of here. Get out of here. Let's get a replacement out of here. Let's get a replacement out of here, and something that's more suitable for our artists. And he comes in. He comes in all the way from the world of the non-living, and he's drawing little butterflies and clouds and puffy little trees. Yes, my new co-host is Bob Ross. Bob Ross. He's going to be our new co-host, and he's going to be making sure that everybody that's going to be joining us is going to be puffy clouds and green little shrubbery trees worthy. Okay? All right. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest. Our guest is Adam Fields. And here it goes. Let's get him in there. Hey Adam, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Do you feel honored that like we have a special co-host just for you?
I'm kind of shocked. I've never been able to meet Mr. Ross before. He was a big influence for me growing up, so this is an honor.
Well, listen, here's the problem though. When you have a master like Bob Ross watching and being part of the interview process, there's a lot to live up to.
There is
Are,
a lot
are,
of pressure.
are you up to the puffy little clouds and the puffy little
Ah,
trees?
I think so. I think
All right.
so.
Are they all happy? Are they happy trees and happy clouds?
Happy trees, happy clouds, and happy accidents.
There you go. There you go. I'm glad
I
you
have a
actually.
Ross somewhere around here. There he is. Oh, let me get my Bob Ross.
Oh, you got a Bob Ross?
I do.
Oh, what the hell? I thought I had the only Bob Ross. What is he cloning himself?
I know.
Hey,
But
when you
mine's more
signed your
accident
contract with
prone.
me, hey, when he signed his contract with me, he said that there was going to be no more appearances anywhere else. Hey, listen, Bob, we're gonna have to renegotiate. All right, enough, enough. What the hell? All right, all right.
Uh,
Now you actually know who the hell Bob Ross is because you speak to a lot of these Gen Zers and Wires and I don't know what gens,
I
and they're like,
know.
who? Who?
It's,
Who's that weird
they're
old
really missing
afro?
out. Man, they are. I still watch Bob Ross to this day.
How could you not? He makes happy little clouds.
Mhm.
How could you
He
be
makes it
upset
look
with a
so
guy like
easy.
that? It wasn't amazing how fast he would go.
Like it's frustrating how fast he would go. He'd put a little splotch on a spatula, scrape it, and he'd have a freaking mountain.
He just went, yeah, yeah, like, oh, what?
And then he'd beat the devil out of his brush.
He was the best. He was the
He
best.
was. He
I
was. I
mean,
watched him all the time growing up. I loved it.
I'm so happy he got all that content done to live forever in history.
Hmm.
Let's just say a couple quick more hellos and then we'll get into it. I said hello, Beef It. You already got hello, so no more hellos from you. From we don't do too many hellos here. I already got banned from the channel for saying too many hellos to people. You believe that? I was too
That's
friendly.
crazy.
I was too friendly, and they said, hey, enough with the hellos. Get out of here, banned." I was like, well, I'm sorry. I was just saying hello, but anyway. Hello, Nicholas. Hello, John Stout. Hello, Kenneth Bird. Hello, brother Joe. Who else we got here? Who else we got here? We got I think I got all the ones I forgot from before. And if anybody new comes in, hello from now and no more hellos, okay? We're not going to interrupt the interviews just to say hello. I'll do this. I will wave, or maybe Bob will wave to you. I don't know. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it from this point forward. So Adam, there might be a lot of. All right, all right. One more hello, Lisa. That's it. No more. Okay, that's it. All right. So Adam, there might be some people here that might know you. There might be some people that don't know you. So why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah. So I am Adam Fields, the owner of Midnight 27 Studios, which is just basically my LLC to protect me from taxes. And I am a indie artist and publisher of my own comic book series, and I also help other writers bring their stories to life visually. I hail from Ohio, and I travel all over the con circuit to show off my artwork and meet everyone face to face and get a draw for people. So, really enjoy what I do.
You hail from Ohio.
Mm,
A lot of
born and
people,
raised.
a lot of people in the comic industry and community from Ohio.
Yeah, there's nothing to do.
Yeah,
There's just cornfields. That's it.
draw. Is that what you guys do? Just draw
That's
and
it.
eat corn
Hmm.
and
Yeah, and
yell at
Buckeyes.
LeBron?
Oh yeah, yeah. That the thing is, I moved up closer to where he was from, and let me tell you, the hate is real.
Well, I can
Yes,
imagine. Do you
yeah.
on your like free time when you have nothing to do? Do you like draw like murals of LeBron with horns on them? And
No, no. I stay away from the mural game. I tried it one time and said, "Well, I'm going to let somebody else do this. I'll stick to my paper." But Cartoon wise, I think I've had to draw him one time, and I don't remember what it was for, but
You have
I
to do that a
vaguely
lot.
remember drawing him.
People ask you to do that a lot to make caricatures or
Yeah,
portraits of real life people.
sometimes I try to avoid like personal likenesses just because if it doesn't look right, it doesn't look right. So um, I try to stick to at least my rendition of characters, but every now and then you'll get someone that wants the Adam West Batman or the Christopher Reeve Superman, or I've had to draw some presidents here and there. So yeah, you every now and then you'll get that.
Presidents.
Yeah,
So wait,
yeah, I
hold
had
on a
to.
second. So hold on. So you're sitting at a con. You sell your comics.
Mhm.
You're telling people I could draw things for you as commissions, and then all of a sudden you have some guy that comes in there and says, "I want Henry Ford."
Actually, yeah. It's not even the weirdest request that I've had at a con, but I did have. He wanted a joining cover of the scene from The Shining, but he wanted Trump's face in the door scene where he's saying here's Johnny. He wanted that, and then I think he wanted Obama being the one screaming, if I remember correctly, or it was reversed. One of the two, but it was a joining book cover, and I went, all right, let's do this. But
Please
the
tell me you get a
weirdest,
picture of that.
I mean, somewhere I do. I because
Oh, you need to
it
send me
was
that in the off time. I need to see that.
yeah. I'll dig that up for sure. But man, some of the requests we get to draw on the spot, they can come out of left field. I remember one time it was the third day, it was the last day. We were all very tired. And the doors had just opened up, and this woman beelines for my table. I hadn't even set out all my stuff yet, and she goes, "Hey, do you do commissions?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, I do." She goes, "How weird." I went, "Oh Lord, okay." This is so we're not even like this is VIP. We're not even general public yet. And I said, I don't know. How weird are you wanting? She says she wants a pair of friendly blue pajamas, and that's it. So I had to figure out how to make blue pajamas look friendly. So basically, I just drew them
Like
as
folded?
like, yeah, no, I drew them like standing as if they were a person, but with nothing in them, holding flowers. And that was the only thing I was able to come up with at 9 o'clock in the morning after 2 very long days of this large convention. So,
Are you kidding me?
um,
Somebody asked you to draw a personless
yeah,
pajama set?
and I had to draw the thank you statue with a duck head before. I've had requests like that, but then you get some normalish ones like, "Hey, Venomize Snoopy for me," and those are a little more less challenging. They're more fun, but those oddball ones, it just makes you scratch your head like, what kind of collection do you have?
Oh, that's wild. That is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
wild.
So I
Wow.
mean, like advice that I give to every artist that's wanting to pursue this is like be comfortable with weird because it gets weird.
All right. So since we're on the topic right now, how weird can it get? Like, what's your weirdest experience with a fan?
Oh Lord, um, I've had to block a few that got a little too chummy. Um,
What do you mean
that's
on
not.
Instagram or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, they were like trying
Awkward.
to get really close with me and like too flirtatious, and I'm like, look, this isn't, I'm a comic book artist, I'm not into doing that. One of the biggest things for me though is I don't draw like nudes or anything, so
So you have
they,
limits.
I do have limits.
Things are too like when it comes to like nudity, that's too
Mhm.
taboo.
That's too taboo for me. Basically, it's because I got two kids, and if they want to pop into dad's studio, I don't have to scramble to cover up stuff. Because especially my 9-year-old, he's silent when he walks, so he's just popped up before, and I didn't know it. Just looking over my shoulder, so I want to make sure that they know what's up. Have a
Uh,
semi kid friendly art.
that's definitely understandable. I could appreciate that as a father of three myself. I could definitely
Yeah,
understand that. But so you're saying you had to block a couple people for being a
I
little bit
did.
too sexy with you?
Yeah, they wanted me to draw them in certain ways. They were willing to send pictures, and
Wait, they wanted
it
you
was,
to draw them?
yeah, yeah, it got weird. I said I can't, and like they kept pounding, so I said my no means no and block, and like that was it. So it's very very rare. Like in the 8+ years that I've been doing this, it was only like one instance, but that was definitely the weirdest. Other than that, it's just random. Hey, can you draw? My dead dog. Can you draw basically memorial pieces? And like, yeah, I'll draw that for you. It's sentimental. Let's do that. But other than that, the mashups that people want can be
So
kind of weird.
what is the weirdest experience in person that you've had with the person? Like
Uh, I would I would say it was the pajamas. She was very
oh, is it he?
passionate.
I thought it was a woman that came to you
No,
and
it
asked
was
for
she. Yeah, it was she. She was
she.
very passionate about the pajamas. A little uncomfortable, but hey, she was happy with the result, and I was very very pleasant. So
You gotta be so intrigued with this. How big was this piece? Was it a 9 by 12
it
or
was
11
nine
by
by 12.
17?
It was a 9 by 12, and it's on my Instagram somewhere. If they go deep diving a few years back, you'll find it. It's out there. Um, I'm telling you, man.
And
She was happy.
what is the going rate on pajamas right now? I'm just curious.
I charged their full figure price, so it was at least. I think at the time my full figure price was like 150 or something. It was
You
weird,
you probably
but
spent more time thinking about what to do than the actual drawing
I
than what you
I
figuring out.
did. My wife was on a Starbucks run. And she came back. She goes, "You look perplexed." I said, "You won't believe what I have to draw," and she didn't believe me until I was doing it. She goes, "Oh my god." She's not like she was very skeptical of what I was doing. I said, "No, this is what she asked for." And then when the woman came back to pick it up, she was ecstatic, got pictures, all that. And when she watched, she goes, "You weren't kidding." I said, "I wasn't. I can't make this up. I don't wake up and go, this is how I'm going to screw with you today." Like, no, this was asked of me.
Do you think deep down it might have been a prank from somebody doing that to you?
No, she said that it was like an inside joke with her and her roommate, and I didn't ask any questions beyond that.
Okay.
I the less I know about a lot of people's personal lives, I think the better because I don't want to unearth some skeletons.
You know what? I would take the pajama dressing stuff a lot better than people send me pictures of themselves to draw them.
Yeah, yeah, it was weird. That was weird because what made it even weirder was I we met in person at a show, and then she and he kept uh, asking me, and I said, I'm not doing that. It was very early in my career, so now that I've been a little more established, I don't get those requests at all now. So there's something to be said about consistency.
So it's a little bit about paying your dues in the beginning. You gotta
Yeah,
get a little bit weird in the beginning until people take you a little more seriously.
yeah, it's
Although
just like
these people
everything
might have been
else.
super serious. Yeah, they might
Oh,
have been
they
like
were,
100%
they
real serious.
were, but
Yeah.
it's like everything else. We're just stepping in fresh, and basically our net is so big, and we just want to funnel it all down to sort of what is our strength. So now that I'm 8 years into this, I kind of know where my strengths lie and where my weaknesses are. This past weekend I had a gentleman come up to me who's gotten commissions from me every year that I've been at Cincinnati, and this one particular one I had to turn down because he wanted a self portrait, and for me, self portrait at on the spot would be kind of a challenge to do, especially while trying to talk to people at my table, trying to fulfill orders and everything. I told him, I said, this is something I have to take home, and I am not. I would do your piece a disservice. He goes, "Oh, I totally understand," but he came back with another prompt, and that one was a lot more fun and more up my alley. So, being honest with people is probably the biggest advice that I can really give anybody is, hey, know what your strengths are, and don't be afraid to be honest about your weaknesses.
So you actually just hit a trigger topic. Okay.
Mm,
So you said that you told the person that I would have to take it home to finish it and that kind of thing. So this
mhm.
actually was a very recent conversation that we had on one of the past streams that we did,
Oh,
where we've had artists that have said, I need time to take, do your commission, and I'll have it ready for you in a few days, and then I'll mail it out to you, or in a week, or et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And what happens is those few days turn to a few weeks, to a few months, and in some cases, even a few years before you ever see that commission returned.
I
And
have heard
up front.
so many stories.
So it sounds like you like to keep to your word when you actually have a situation like that. And I bought a couple of pieces from you, but I actually saw you draw them. No, actually, did I see you draw them live?
Yeah, it was on Whatnot.
Yeah, you did draw them live. I remember, if I remember, you did them off air or on there. You did do them live. I lose track of it because I've seen you draw so much stuff on Whatnot. So you have a situation where you promise the people. Let's say you can't. Things happen. Life happens.
Mhm.
You communicate, right? Like a human being. You say, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry. It's taking me a little longer. Blah blah blah." It's common courtesy. Do you
Sure
take
is.
money up front from the person, the full amount, or deposits? How does it work?
So I used to do deposits, and then I got burned on that because for me, my deposits, much like every other deposit, is non refundable. Um, but what I found is people would back out of the piece, especially if I already got it done. Something would come up. I just had an instance before that I'm not going to mention because it is a very sensitive topic, but things happen that is completely out of their control. I understand that. So for me, everybody that has ever worked with me ever can vouch for me. I over communicate. I will tell you what when I'm starting. I will send progress pictures along the way, and everyone knows that I ship on Tuesdays. So if I complete it on Friday, it's getting shipped out that following Tuesday, along with all my other orders that I take on Monday night through Whatnot. Um, and if something does come up, like for instance, we just had an issue with a sick family member. I had to put a lot of stuff on pause because I've already built this relationship, this trust with everyone. I sent a message to everyone that I was working on stuff with. I said, "Hey, here's the situation. This is what I got coming on. I'll be back in about a week or so to get things, back up." Every single one of them said, "Not a problem. Take your time. Family first. Do what you need to. We know you're gonna, get it done." I've actually never had anyone come back say, "Hey, where's my stuff?" I've never had that because that was actually one of my promises to myself, my wife, and my fan base for when I started doing this full time. I said I would never make anyone wait unless something major happened, but I would always communicate because I personally hate being in the dark. Makes me uncomfortable. If I pay for something or if I order something, I just need some sort of notification that it's coming through, it's on its way, or hey, we ran into a hiccup, whatever. That just gives me peace of mind. Therefore, I am assuming everybody else has the same issues.
Seems like this
Hey,
person
Jake.
knows you, Jake LaFleur.
Jake knows me very well.
That's the key, Adam. I think communication goes without saying with everything. By the way, I'm starring everybody's questions so I could ask them towards the Q&A session. Unless there's something like that's really on topic as far as what we're talking about at this moment, I'm going to get to everybody's questions. But yeah, I think if you do that, I think everybody realizes we're all human beings, and if there's something that happens, it happens. You know what I'm saying? You just don't disappear. This is what the kids say. You don't ghost people.
Yeah, no.
You don't do
That's,
that. So that's a
that's
big deal. So let's go back. Let's go
yeah.
backwards. You've been 8 years into the business. For most of your life, you've been in somehow intertwined with some kind of graphical type of work, right?
hmm
I'm assuming that when you first started getting involved in this business, it was on your own private work that you started, or did you start like putting submissions into companies to try to get work with them?
So I was actually doing like technical writing at my old job. What like right out of college, got a job at a factory. Worked there in the factory floor for 5 years. Worked my way up to marketing, where I started working with our engineering team doing technical writing. That was fun because I was getting to work in the programs that I use, a little bit of graphic design, and I got to work my hands a little bit, which was really, really cool. Um, Fast forward, and I started burning out. I was the only one writing, only one doing all the documentation. That we literally had about 10,000 different documents that I needed to manage across the board, and that's including worldwide. It was starting to get kind of frustrating, not having any help. I was getting yelled at by our Russian rep, our Czech rep, our Canadian, Arabic, like everyone's coming at me. So I wanted something creative. So I started working on a comic book just for fun.
So
I
you
always
get
loved
cursed
to
out
draw.
in multiple languages?
Yeah, I was translating all the. I was working with translators on all the languages. I was literally managing every bit of the process of creation on technical writing for manuals for our equipment. It was a very big challenge, especially when your Russian guy was yelling at you. I said, "Dude, I can't read that. I don't know what the right dialect is." Like, you're lucky I even got it the time I did. So it was interesting to say the least. But working on a comic book, it was a story I had back when I was in the 8th grade, and I was old enough. I was like, I'm gonna just do this now. So I started like researching on YouTube, different comic book artists. Greg Capullo was one. Todd Knock was another. Found a couple different, David Finch and a bunch of other amazing artists. Jim Lee was in the mix. Everyone knows Todd McFarlane, all them. And I just started like practicing sketching and storytelling, and looking up, at lunchtime and on breaks and stuff. I was just researching what goes into comics, but I didn't think it was going to be a job. I just wanted it to be something to sort of purge my frustrations into. But the job ended up getting too much. I told him point blank, I need to do graphic design. I want to work with our advertisers. I wanted to work with our marketing department. And they said, my boss at the time looked me in the eye and said, I don't think you're capable. And right then and there, I felt that wall come up, and I knew I was stuck. So I decided, well, I got to move on. So I decided to start finding my own customers doing graphic design. Basically, with shirt companies. That was seems to be where everyone gets their start. But it was a good start designing shirts. And so I quit. I
Or
started
like
Midnight 27
logos
Studios.
or
Yeah,
just like different
logos, events. Mainly they were demolition derby shirts. I was used to be a driver,
okay.
so I started. They contacted me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to do some event shirts for us." So that's what I did. It was really fun.
So you
Um,
draw a lot of vehicles, huh?
yeah, I drove and wrecked a lot of vehicles.
No, you
Uh,
drew a lot of vehicles.
oh yeah, I drew them a lot. Yep, I drew a lot of cars, but they were all mangled mainly, so you really couldn't see a mistake. Um, But I was doing that, and after a while, I started talking to a local comic shop that had just opened. They said, "Hey, we're having a Comic Con. You want to set up?" So I said, "Yeah." So I didn't even have a first book yet. I had like a couple blank covers, some small prints, and I set up, and everyone seemed to really like my work, and which kind of got me inspired. And I'm like, well, maybe I can make this work. The
So,
comic
so,
shop
so
gave me,
let's pause for 1 second. So
yeah,
your first con that you ever did, you got a table, you got a booth,
mhm,
and you had nothing. You had nothing. You just had your
nothing.
hands, paper, and pens. That's
That's
basically
it.
what you
Yeah, I had
had.
4 feet.
No plan.
Nope. I had a couple pages of the book. That was it. And it was, my wife sat up with me. She was right there by my side to give me some support. I think we made $50. And at that time, we were like, oh my gosh, we did it. And that first 50 is the most important thing that I've ever made, because that's what inspired me and really made me realize, like, there's a market for this. There are people out there that want, and then as I started looking around, like, everyone else is making comics for a living. Like, these artists, this is what they do. Why can't I do it? So I researched. I found a bunch of videos on how to set up files, and I didn't know my graphic design degree was going to translate into publishing. But I had already been publishing manuals, working with our printers. So I'm like, well, what's the difference between printing words and drawing pictures and publishing them? So it literally just kind of went hand in hand. And
Well, it
then
did help out with the
yeah,
layouts. I'm sure.
yeah, I released the first book and it took off like crazy. And then I end up releasing 7 issues of the title Prowl, and it kind of what got me on the scene, and I got hired by a bunch of other people to do covers, and finally got my interior jobs with a few other little indie guys, and I've been working with them ever since. And then I just recently remastered my comic book series and relaunched it because over the years I've gotten better at storytelling. I kind of did it wrong the first time because again I didn't know what I was doing, and now that I've got experience, I've talked to some of the biggest names in writing or even in illustrating, and I've learned along the way, and I wanted a better product, so remastered my story, and it's now out again.
So, how do you do your work? Do you do all traditionally by hand, or do you do a lot of digital work?
I do a lot of mix. So I do all my layouts in penciling in Procreate, especially if I'm working with an editor or a publisher or something, that there's a chance of a revision. Because if I do everything traditionally, erasing and resizing stuff, I don't want to have to redraw. So in this industry, time is everything. So the faster you can work, the more valuable you're going to be, and people are going to want to work with you. Um, so what I did was I do my layouts and my penciling digitally, send that over for approvals, make any changes that need to be changed. Pretty much, it's sometimes like, hey, flip this guy. I can highlight it and flip it and send it right over in a matter of seconds versus erasing and redrawing. But once we get the pages approved, I print them out. I ink traditionally because I'm a lot faster at doing it. I've been able to get 4 to 6 pages done within 48 hours versus the 2 or 3 that I was able to do digitally on this last book that I just did. And I, that's again going back to know your strengths and weaknesses. I know my strength is traditional inking. It's a lot of fun. Plus, I have that physical copy to show everybody. Then I scan that in, and typically I work with a colorist because coloring is not my thing. I can do it, but I much rather have a someone that's way faster and better at it do it. So I've worked with various colorists on all the different projects. I have one of my dear friends is the colorist on Prowl, and then once I get the colors back, I ink it, or I mean I letter it, and then format and print.
So you learn everything yourself, huh?
I do. I do.
So you do everything but coloring at this point.
Mhm. Pretty
Oh
much.
wow!
I'm hoping to branch out, but again, I want to make sure I uh, basically build a template for anyone that might fill that role later, so that if they can ask questions, I can say, here are some samples, here are the bubbles that I use, and then let them sort of take the base and build onto it. Because I don't want to ever censor anybody or put them in a box. I want them to sort of have free range. But if I can give them a base and something to go off, like this is what I'm looking for, it'll make their job a little easier.
So you got through 7 issues of Prowl,
Mhm.
and you're feeling pretty good at yourself as far as what you've been able to accomplish as far as your own personal work. How
Mhm.
soon was it before you got opportunities to be able to get some work of yours published on somebody else's book?
I think it was like 2 or 3 issues in. It was the book called Ink by Sierra Nova, which they are a very small publishing company out of New York. They they actually just we just did issue 2 um, last year, and it's probably some of the best work. But I think Ink was their first go at really anything major, and again, we all learned together. So as I was coming, I had a little bit of experience. They had very little experience, and so far we've been able to kind of work together on a bunch of different things. So
So what you
Um,
do? Panel work, or did you do
pencil
covers?
ink. I did pencil ink and cover.
So, but when you say pencil, you mean like the sequential panel work on the
Mhm.
inside.
Yep,
Do you
interiors.
enjoy the panel work or the covers more?
Oh, it depends on the day. I don't. I like doing the storytelling when it is sort of free flowing. If the writer gives me sort of the choice, like the Marvel style of scripting, I really enjoy that because then I can, dictate like whether, how many panels are on the page or how I want to how I visualize it. Um, I've worked with a lot of authors that they have a certain vision. They will provide the roughs, which that right there takes away some of the thinking. But then again, it's also like, man, I really don't think this looks the best. And if I voice it, they're like, no, we want it this way. So it kind of eliminates the creativity part, which is what I like. Covers, sometimes they give me a prompt and I can run with that prompt. Sometimes they're like, hey, here's the character, have fun, and I get to have fun. So um, depending on the project, covers kind of outweigh sequentials just because of the time. But ultimately, I like being able to show the book at a con, hand it to them, and say, "That's the story that I was able to bring to life. What do you think?"
So outside of your own work, what's been the best experience you've had working on any other project?
Oh man, there's a lot because every project has its own victories, but every project has its own
Come on, there's got to be a
hiccups
best.
too.
There has to be a best. There always is a best.
Okay, so one of the best is a book that's not even for a major publisher. It's actually a nonprofits marketing tool. And out of the Painesville, Ohio area, around Cleveland, there's an organization called the Blue Coat Missionary, or I'm sorry, the Sub Zero Mission, and their character is called the Blue Coat Missionary. And basically, the organization itself goes out in the really harsh winter months every weekend to a major city somewhere and clothe the homeless. They will provide boots, scarves, hats, gloves, socks, sleeping bags, whatever these people need to stay warm in the winter months because they can't find shelter. They won't go to shelters or whatever. Basically, they're also looking for homeless veterans to sort of give them connections to what they need because the organization is ran by retired veterans. Um, so they hired me to bring their story to life. Physically, they're combating death with what they're doing. So death is the big bad, and the Blue Coat Missionary is actually the main character. And it to me that right there that is the biggest success because the story that I was able to tell in issue 1 and issue 2 literally saved lives.
That sounds like a very honorable thing. It sounds like you're a very charitable person. You like working on that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. I do because everything that I do, if there's a bigger purpose behind just making a cool story or pretty cool art, then I'm gonna go for the way to help people.
Well, you're gonna love this because this channel, along with many other channels throughout the comic community, are actually getting involved for a project called Comics Curing Cancer, and they are working under the umbrella of the American Cancer Society, and they are going to be doing a fundraiser from October 20th to the 22nd. And on this channel, we're going to be doing a live drawing where we're going to actually draw and try to raise some money for charity and have fun during the whole time period. So I'm going to play the bumper and then I'll tell you a little bit more about it after. So as you can see, or maybe you can't see because the bumper's a little bit like blurry, but there are some significant names that have been
Mhm.
involved with this as far as donating some of their time and some of their art towards there. And I'm going to extend the same invitation to you. If you'd like to be a participate or maybe do some live drawing with us that night, we would love it. Or if there's something you want to do in your off time and actually uh, have have it submitted for an auction, we would love to have that as well. I'd love to have you on live drawing because it'd be fun to uh, kind of bullshit with you in the middle of the night while I'm drawing and other people are drawing as well. We're gonna have it's gonna be a good time. So think about it. Let me know if it's something you want to do, and we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, actually, count me in. I think that'd be fun. I actually already wrote it down so that I have the dates. Because yeah,
All
I'll
right,
do some live drawing, and we can auction them off then or whenever.
awesome. Then that means not now you said on video, you can't back out.
Mm-mm.
Okay, no, you're in. You're in. Now we got you. All right, so we got you. I'll send you all the information through Instagram, and we'll take it from there.
Cool.
All right, but it's important to talk about that. But this interview is about you, nothing else. We had to talk about that for a second because it's important. But it's all about you. It's about look at me, look at you. That's basically what we're doing. Okay, so you told us about your best experience. What has been your worst experience thus far in this business, in this industry?
Not getting paid for a couple bucks.
By like publishers or
Yep. So early on, I got wooed by a writer that I really thought was credible, and he has a lot of stuff out. Um, but I never got paid. I gave him my page rate. He goes, we'll settle up after everything's done. We need him by this day. I was really, really young in this career, so I didn't know better. Now I do because I still have books and pages of the two projects I did for him, and any bit, whenever I can sell those pages, I just rejoice because that means I finally made something off of that, whether it be $10, $100, or whatever. It's more than what he ever gave me. So basically, lesson learned. That guy is blacklisted, um, and always have contracts, no matter how big or small the project is, because even a small project turns into a big project.
it could definitely happen that way.
Hmm.
So you feel that happens a lot to a lot of people where they
I
get
do,
screwed.
I do. And now, whenever, because
You
everyone
want
has a
names?
story to tell. Do
You want
what?
to name names? You want to name names so we could shame them here?
No,
No,
no, I'm not that kind of guy. But if
we can do
anyone
that for you.
ever, no, I'm good. I appreciate it though, because yeah, I don't see him doing much anymore. I
I
think
have
he kind
I
of
have a
grew.
whole army of trolls that work with me, and we have a trolling network where we could just harass the hell out of the guy. Yeah, we could take care of this
Yeah,
guy.
I think he took care of himself because I haven't seen him do anything here recently. So, things just have a way of working out like that. Um,
But it does
but
happen a lot more than you'd like to hear, right?
sadly, it does. So whenever I get to talk to somebody, especially that at cons before and after shows, we get to really talk, network amongst each other in Artist Alley, and we get to tell stories like this, horror stories or victory stories. Um, and every now and then we'll always have someone that's new, and they're like, "Yeah, someone wants me to draw their book." It's a big red flag for me, not because I don't want to see them succeed, because I want them to succeed. So that's why the red flag comes up. I basically to ask them, "Is it going to be a one shot, or do they have a series?" Well, no, they just said they have a script. Okay, is there a contract? Did you talk about page rate? Did you talk about what you're bringing to the table? Like, they're not going to add anything on to you, because sometimes they're hiring you for pencils. All of a sudden, you're going to be the inker. Also, we need you to color now. Like, it's stuff like that. So I end up excited, kind of like mentoring some of these younger artists and the proper way to deal with customers. Because when someone approaches me and they say, "Hey, I have a story," Is it a one shot or is it going to be a series? And if it's a
Well, do you
series,
look at that person as a customer or a partnership?
partnership,
Okay.
100%. That's why I ask the questions, because it's not, I'm not bringing your story to life. I'm bringing our story to life. Because if I'm not invested in the story and I'm going to be miserable bringing every single page to life, if the characters just don't speak to me, it's something I'm going to pass on, because I want to be excited for when I'm working on the page. I want to be even more excited when the book's done, and I can be even more excited at the con when I hand it to someone and say, "Look at this amazing thing that this person wrote. I got the chance to bring it to life. You're going to really enjoy it, and you're going to want more because they're already working on more. I'm working on more."
Now, in case like that, let's say you get compensated really well.
Hmm.
They don't nickel and dime you. They give you very fair market value as far as what your page rate goes for, and whatever else you add to the mix. And the book takes off. It becomes a success.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, there's IP worth something. There's some value to that IP. Do you feel that you have the same kind of ownership rights to it as the writer does? Do you not? Is that negotiated before you go into the project? Or are you just a hired mercenary? How does it work exactly?
Typically, for projects that I feel may have some legs, it's negotiated up front, because everybody's has this dream of their own IPs becoming something mainstream, something as a household name. That's the dream for most people, not everyone, but most. So I go into a project thinking this could be the next Spawn. This could be the next, Stranger Things. This could be whatever. I want to make sure that I get a part of it if that's what they're in for. Sometimes they don't want to do, co-ownership, or, so, I have to be okay with that. Most of the time, though, I just did a book called Point of Authority. It was a short 3-issue run. It's being colored as we speak. I've seen the pages. They are stunning. I penciled inked it, and I also did the covers. The owner, Victor Dandridge, he loved my designs of some vehicles, some characters. He goes, "Man, when this gets picked up for toy lines, I'm going to make sure you get a nice cut." And I know he's honest with it because we've already agreed upon it.
And
So,
writing
and
or
he'll
handshake?
make it happen.
Handshake or writing?
Writing,
Okay.
everything's in writing.
Yeah, I'm just making sure. I have to ask.
Yeah. I I wish we could honor handshakes, because going back to my worst experience, that was upon a handshake, and we see how that went. So
Listen, I'm from New York, so everything has to be done in writing, or you're gonna get basically you better not get fucked. That's what it
you
comes down.
are, yeah. So
I don't know how it works in Ohio. Maybe Ohio's more handshakes, but not in New York. That's why
yeah,
I
and
asked.
I take the New York approach to everything then, because if it's not in writing, I'm not doing it, because I'm not getting screwed. I got a family to look after, so my whole priority lies within this roof. So it's in writing.
It also matters of how much you actually put into actual design. Like, in
Yeah.
other words, if somebody brings you characters that have already been fleshed out as far as designs and looks and costumes and et cetera, and they say basically, listen, you just need to do the sequential work for these characters.
Hmm.
It's a little different than if you actually design the character from scratch and you actually take those words and make them into something. Because
Correct.
that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest debates as far as Spider-Man's concerned. Is it Stan Lee or is it Ditko
Ditko.
that
Yeah.
created the character? And I don't know
Yeah.
which side of the fence you're on, but both sides actually have a really valid argument to it.
They really do. And honestly, I'm torn. I really am, because I've worked on projects where there was a rough design, a concept already made, but I polished it up and gave it the iconic look that everyone knows when it's in the book. But I didn't come up with the initial base. So for me, I only polished it. I didn't create it. Whereas my characters, I created from the ground up. I got character turnarounds, I've got style sheets, all that. But for some of these other ones, I did have to also create characters from ground up.
So where
So,
are you? Are you a Ditko man or are you a Stan Lee man?
man, I don't know. That's a very tough question. Spider-Man wouldn't be Spider-Man without his character, backstory and his his character development. But that iconic look, I mean,
It all goes hand in hand, right?
it does. It really does.
It's a hard debate because here's the
It
thing:
is.
how many super cool characters did you see designed, illustrated, brought to life? You're like, wow, this is a phenomenal looking animal, creature, human, superhero, villain, whatever it is. You look at it and say, this is amazing. And then all of a sudden, there's no story. So that
Yeah.
super cool looking character sucks.
hmm
All you have to
There's
do
no
is grab a
development,
90s. All you have to do is grab a book from the 90s from Image or some Valiant books and say, "Hey, what the hell?
right?
This sucks."
Yeah. That
Look
it was.
cool.
This is exactly why I wanted to remaster, my series because I kind of wrote myself to a corner. The way I did it was I would script, I'd create the issue, and then I publish it, and then I write issue, and I do that all over, and I end up with like, oh, I didn't give myself like a real roadmap. But then I started working with other professional writers and reading a little more. I'm like, oh, I should write like all the scripts first and then illustrate. And that's exactly what I've done. I've got 6 issues already scripted, ready to go. I've got volume 2 already starting to script. I've got volume 3 and 4 outlined, and I have a definitive end. I just don't know when I want to plug it in because maybe more story might develop in between, but I know where I want it to go. So I kind of did myself a favor by writing everything first, which is why I asked the question to anyone I'm working with: do you have a script or do you have a story? Because if it's just a one shot, yeah, I'll do your one shot. That's fine. But if you have a series, I want to make sure that the fans aren't waiting 3, 4 years for the second book. I want to make sure that we hit them while they're hot because I'll get asked, you'll get asked, where's the next book? I already am with Prowl issue 2. I had a few things come up in between. I'm working on Prowl 2 and 3 right now just to fill in the void, but I want to make sure no one has to wait more than 2 months before the next installment.
Well, that's a good thing that you're bringing up. That's one of the biggest problems that kill a lot of comics out there is the wait time between issues.
hmm
And how many issues do you think that you should have in your pocket before you even release that first one?
So the way I'm doing it now is issue 2 and 3 will be completely done before I go to Kickstarter for issue 2. By then, I'm already going to be working on issue 4. So when two's being sent out, three's Kickstarter will be queued up, and then 4 will be hopefully done. So I'm kind of thinking an issue and a half should be ready to go. I
You're
know
trying to give
Robert
yourself as much
Kirkman
cushion as possible to
as
be able
much. Yeah, Robert Kirkman for Oblivion Song, he had it all done before the first arc. The first, like, he had the artwork done, lettering, every book was ready to go when he pitched it to Image, and that kind of like inspired me to like, oh, I should have more stuff queued up so that I'm not waiting and I can actually tease a little more and think about the marketing versus scrambling to get stuff done.
that makes a lot of sense. And because we've had this conversation a lot of times on this channel and other channels that do a lot of reviews as well. Um, and a lot of people that start the Kickstarters don't have a lot of their work completed, which I think
Mhm.
is a big no-no. I
It
think
is big no no.
it's very disheartening when somebody pledges something and gets their money tied up or whatever the case is, and the book's not ready to go. Like when you go into Kickstarter, how far into it do you actually have the book printed, or do you just wait? You have everything done except for printing.
Everything's done except for printing.
Okay, so
The only thing
basically
that,
you're funded, boom, you're printing. That's it.
yeah, ideally, I would love to have everything to the printer, but the reason I held off on printing was I was waiting for the final letters that I was working on just to make sure that it worked right. Um, and I couldn't go to print because I wanted to make sure I had all my backers in there as a thank you. And my colorist, I gave him a cover. He knocked out the cover in his cover in Jake. He knocked out his cover in 24 hours. So there was a few reasons I didn't go to print right away. But once I got my full backer list, I was able to plug them in as a thank you, and off to the printer it went. I estimated a month out. I think I delivered just under a month on everything except the commission tier.
And who do you use for your printing at the moment?
Comics Wellsprings. They are
Do you think
phenomenal.
they're fast with the like? Once you tell them, listen, you have all your stuff already into them at that point, right?
Mhm.
As far as the files and everything like that. Uh, how quickly do they work? As far as like, as soon as you tell them, listen, we got to go. How fast do they put
They
the stuff in your hands? Like from the minute you tell them we got a green light to you actually having the comics in your hands. How long is that process?
about 4 weeks, if
4 weeks.
that's the slowest because they have different tiers too. You can actually select a rush turnaround, which will give it to you in about 14 days, business days. So depending on how fast you want it, really depends on their speed. But ultimately, I think it's like yeah, a 4 week turnaround was the longest I had to wait,
So it's
and that was
basically just
for
like
like
anything in this world, money talks. So if you're willing to pay
yeah.
more, they'll rush it.
Yeah. But what I love, and I can't stress this enough for anybody that wants to get into self publishing, create an account with Comics Wellsprings because every dollar you spend, you rack up points and that translate into discounts. Not only do they do comics, but they do bookmarks, which are my business cards are bookmarks. They do trading cards, they do sketch cards, they do flyers, they do anything that needs printed, they can do. And they are very, very good quality.
We'll get to that sketch card thing in a second because there's a little bit more to you as far as
Oh
the
yeah.
artwork that you've done too. But just on that Wellspring, I've seen more and more artists actually gravitating to Wellspring. We talked about this a little bit before in the back room before the show started,
Mhm.
and it feels like everybody's migrating towards there. And you said one of the major reasons why because the prior go-to place was Print Ninja
Ninja. Yep.
and they did all their work overseas in China. So I think everybody's going for the local stuff to make it a little more reliable, I guess,
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah, and I found Print Ninja's prices weren't really that good compared to others. Now there is another one called Mixum. Um,
I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about them lately.
they're they're really good too. I've only used them for a children's book for the nonprofit, but I didn't get the physical books. I all I did was upload the pages and ship it over to them. So I haven't even seen the book physically, but the
Why
my the
are
customer
they going to
was
send
super
you one?
happy.
Are they,
I just have to go up and get it. I figure I'll let them sell all the copies.
isn't that
Eventually I'll
something you
get
should
those.
negotiate though? Like when you're doing work for somebody, listen, hey, I'm doing the work, you're paying me, but I want 10 copies for myself. You need
Oh
to
yeah,
sell
I do.
part of the deal,
I,
damn it.
yeah, I do. I do that on comics, children's books. I didn't do any of the artwork on it. I basically just plotted and wrote it, and then I had someone else polish up the writing. So it wasn't a book I was super passionate about. So I'll get one eventually because I know they'll have them in stock whenever I go up and see them because it's only an hour and a half away from where I live now. So
So
not a big deal.
do you have like 10 long boxes full of stuff that you did for yourself, like copies of that, or like how does it work when you have your own published work?
Yeah, I have a lot. I've got
Is your
four
house
blank,
a warehouse?
pretty much. I have four of those plastic BCW short boxes full of blank covers, and then I have I think five of my covers for Prowl, and then I have of a couple bins of comp issues that always go to different shows for of books that I've done. Because once I run out of my comp issues, I really don't restock on those, uh, just because I should have new stuff by then, and I'm trying to migrate more people towards my personal work versus work that I've done for other people.
Makes sense. Absolutely
Yeah.
makes sense. You definitely want to promote your own personal stuff. But one of the things that you've done, other than comics, has been sketch cards. You've done work for Upper Deck,
Hmm.
and that's something I've been seeing a lot of artists get more into. I actually just broke a box of Upper Deck cards the other day, Marvel Beginnings, because
Nice.
I wanted to get no, they were not nice. They were crappy. These were crappy cards because I didn't get any
Oh,
sketch cards and I didn't get any
oh,
signatures
that's
out of
nice.
them. And all I got
Oh,
is
that's nice.
regular base cards. I want the good stuff. I didn't want the
Yeah.
common
You want the
stuff.
one of ones.
I don't want the scrub cards. I wanted the real cards.
You
That's
want the
what I
one
want.
of ones. Yeah.
So you're one
I've
of the
worked with.
guys that actually make those inserts that go into those boxes. So
Yep.
are you like permitted to talk a little bit about that process, how it works? Like
Yeah.
you get hired by them. What do they expect from you?
So um, I I've been working with them for about 6 years now. It was kind of an accident. Like I don't even know how I got the job. They scouted me out at the show, apparently, and sent me an email and said, "Hey, we want to offer you a Marvel Premiere set." I didn't know what it was. I almost deleted it because I thought it was like the like Nigerian Prince, but for nerds. Because I saw the word Marvel, and I'm like, "This is fake. This is fake."
Can
But
I
I
quote
looked more in.
The Nigerian Prince for nerds?
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
That's my only way I can really. I'm like, this is a scam. There's no way. But I looked more into it and found out that it was legit. So I messaged back and they said, hey, we're going to pay you X amount per card. We're going to send you some APs, artist proof cards, for you to sell. The way that it works is they send you the blank cards. They in a freaking list of characters you're not allowed to draw and stipulations on how other characters can look and how they cannot look. I've basically memorized this packet of paper, of guidelines that Marvel and their licensor have. But once you get through all that red tape, it's a pretty fun gig. They're
How
pretty
much of a
fair
pain in the
on.
ass is that though? The whole red tape and their restrictions.
Like it's kind of a nuisance. Like there's a lot of characters that are very popular that you can't draw because they didn't come with the licensing. I don't ask questions on how it works because it makes no sense. Why this character is good to go, but like I can draw. I can't draw any Fantastic Four. I I can draw scrolls, but not Super Scroll. I can draw um, Howard the Duck, but he has to be wearing pants if I draw a full figure. Um, I can't draw anybody eating or drinking food of any kind. I found that out on my last project
Well, what
on
if Howard's
accident.
in a promiscuous position? Then
Right. That's another rule. No, women can't be too busty or curvy. If I draw Mrs. or Captain Marvel, she can't be in her Miss Marvel suit, like the black one. It has to be Captain Marvel, red and blue and gold. So like the rules are just like if I'm drawing a weapon, it has to, or like a gun, it has to be made up. It can't be pointed at the viewer. I can't draw any smoking. So
so you
Wolverine
can't
can't have a cigar.
you can't have a gun like Punisher pointing the gun. You
Yep,
can't do
can't
that.
have that. Nope.
Why?
Punisher is actually off limits, so I can't draw Punisher anyway. He
You're
got
not allowed to
banned.
draw Punisher.
Nope. So like
Why?
there's a 5-page list of characters that I can't do. It's ridiculous. But
Wait,
the
that's
characters I can,
bonkers. You can't draw the Punisher. Who has the license for the Punisher?
I don't know. I think it has to do with like his logo and how it was used years ago, and I don't know. That's why I stopped asking questions. I'm like, all right, I can't draw him, so I won't draw him anymore, whatever. But it makes it challenging. So because I always commission off my artist proof cards, that way I can send everything in for approvals. Um, but it makes it harder because a lot of people like Punisher. A lot of people like Doctor Doom and Galactus, and I can't draw any of those.
You're not
So
even allowed to do Doctor. Oh, because of the Fantastic Four. Holy
yeah,
crap! That sucks.
so
No
yeah,
Silver
but
Surfer.
here's the thing: Deadpool is a no go. I can't draw Deadpool. However, they released a Deadpool set that I happened to get contracted for. They said go ham on drawing Deadpool however you want because this is the only time you'll get to draw him is in his set. So we did. We got to have so much fun with him. That was probably the best set that I've ever had the chance to do. But
I don't even know
basically, the
what
way
that is. I,
yeah,
what,
it's just called Deadpool. It
that
was
that's a recent set or older set.
about 3 years ago.
All right.
Yeah, 3 4 years ago. So the way it works is you draw the characters, then you scan them and send them in for review. They get reviewed by Upper Deck and Marvel, and you could get approvals and you can get rejections. I recently just got a rejection because I drew Jubilee blowing bubble gum, and they didn't like the bubble gum. And what's really funny is Upper Deck was like, I disagreed with that rejection because Jubilee is known for chewing gum, but they didn't like it, so I have to go with it. But what sucks is I don't get paid for the cards that are rejected.
So what happens to that card? Do you get to keep it or do you have to destroy
Nope.
it?
They get stamped with a big old reject and then incinerated.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a shame.
It is a shame because I've had a full set get rejected because apparently the dude reviewing it was having a bad day and rejected everybody that was on his list to review that day. He didn't even look at mine. So I got a full set. And like I said, you don't get paid unless they're approved. So I did a full set and Upper Deck was so nice to me. They called me personally, said, "Hey, here's the situation. We are so sorry. We're going to get you onto our next set. We're going to resubmit your artist proof cards because I get a hold on to those." They're like, "I guarantee he didn't even look at them." And sure enough, they submitted it, and within 2 days, I got my approval on those.
So what
So,
was their excuse? Did they say that he was on his period or something?
yep,
And
pretty much.
oh,
So this is why I whenever I get asked like, what is your ultimate goal? Do you want to work for Marvel, DC? Do you want? I'm like, no, actually. If they offer me a job, I wouldn't turn it down. But I'm not actively submitting stuff to them because working with them, you're just another number. You're just another artist to that they're going to ream money out of, which is good for your career. But then in the end, they don't really care. I'd rather work with the indie guy that has passion and heart behind his story versus trying to recycle characters that they've recycled over and over or reskinned because they're trying to reach another demographic
so I
instead of
love the fact
coming
that
up
you
with new.
actually jumped onto that. Okay, so you'd rather work with the indie guys because it's a little bit more flexible on what you could do, a lot less restrictions. However, Marvel says, hey, Adam, we want you to draw the Hulk. We want you to draw Spider-Man. DC says, hey, Adam, we've been watching your work. We want you to work on Batman. We want you to work on Shazam, something, a big character.
Mhm.
Are you going to scoff at that, or are you going to actually take on the project?
Oh, I would take on the project. I'd be foolish. Anyone would be foolish to turn it down.
But they're going to
Um,
pay you shit.
oh yeah, I already know it. I mean, I've a lot of my friends work with them. I know how they operate, but that's why I'm not actively looking for those jobs. If they
But you,
come up like this one, great.
but you wouldn't snub your nose to them.
No, because
And
it's a paycheck.
that's interesting because here's the thing. I've talked to a lot of artists,
Mhm.
and a lot of said I refuse. I will never work for Marvel. I will never. And it sounds like almost somebody that's been a little bit spurned. It almost
Mhm.
sounds like a scorned woman or a scorned lover or something like that, where
Mhm.
they tried and then they got rejected or they had a bad experience and said I will never work with them again. And I feel that you're kind of cutting your nose to spite your face in that point because even if you get paid crap working on a Spider-Man, on a Batman, on a Superman, on a Wolverine, on a whatever, like a major character, even if you're getting paid crap, your name will always be connected to drawing that character on a published piece of work. And if you knock it out the box, that could open up a lot of doors for you down the line. That could bring you a lot more money and a lot more lucrative projects down the line. And I'm glad to hear that you actually are open to working with that, because it's been a point of contention with a lot of artists lately, where
Yeah,
they don't want to even hear the word Marvel or DC. Like, never, never, ever, ever. I hate them. They're the worst,
yeah,
and they are
and
the worst. But
and
there's
you
an
know
opportunity.
there is, and actually it comes from the way that I view it is actually what's happened to one of my buddies. He's actually currently he just illustrated the run on Star Trek, and then now he's back on to Ninja Turtles. So he was Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Star Trek. Now he's back to Ninja Turtles, and he said he actually had his own book prior to all this, and he said that at the last show he had sold more of his prior and previous work ever since he started working on major titles and major beloved characters such as Star Trek and Turtles. And that's the way I view it. Who cares? Like, I don't care how big the stepping stone is. If Marvel or even Boom or IDW reach out to me to to create a character, even Dynamite at this point, people are going to see that art, see my name, researching more stuff that I've done. Oh, he writes and illustrates his own series. Boom! There's a new fan for my own work.
And let's be realistic. The big companies, they're using you, and you're
Hmm.
using them simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's how you use them and how you allow them to use you. That's
Yep.
what it's usually on all levels.
It is. It really is. And, going into it, you have to know that because ultimately, the way I describe it to different schools and people trying to get in this industry, ultimately, what we're in a commercial art type program or, industry. Yes, we're creating stories, we're creating fandoms, but ultimately, Marvel, DC, they want you to buy that logo um, on that lunchbox. They want you to buy that action figure. They want you to go see that movie because of that character that was in the book. Their only thing is to sell merchandise and products because they're all for profit. And I totally understand that. You can't be mad at a business for doing business things. So you just have to play the game, so that you're not getting screwed, but it's a win-win for both.
And since we're talking about that right now, who's your dream character to work on? Like, you get open pick of any character throughout history, not one of your own. I'm talking about an established
Yeah.
character.
So this is going to be kind of a wild card, but I've recently fell in love with this character because I've had to draw him so much, and it's the Max.
The Max, is that why Jake's? I actually saw a post that you put recently about the Max.
I've had to draw the Max more times for Jake. I think he's the only one that owns any artwork of the Max, and it's only every art piece I've ever drawn of the Max was for him.
Are
And
you a Sam Keith fan?
do what?
Are you a Sam Keith fan?
Yeah, yeah. So I remember growing up watching this late at night, the Max TV show on MTV. I wasn't allowed to watch MTV, so I snuck and watched it anyway because I'm a bad kid. But I remember looking at this goofy thing, and I vaguely remember like how it worked. So I watched a couple episodes, and I went, I remember this. So I looked more into it, and I'm like, God, I would love to bring this character back, and just I'd love to be the main artist on him. I think that'd be kind of cool.
He did have a really, really big cult following.
He
Really
did.
cult following.
I
He
mean,
might not have been like Spawn levels or anything like that as far as high selling books, but he did have a cult following. And there's a lot of people that love that weird character, and it was a weird story. Very,
yeah.
very
I
weird
mean,
story.
I'm gonna show off some stuff real quick. So like, let me get it out of the bag and board here. So this is the most recent Max piece that I had to do. Spawn is a very close second to doing a. I would love to do his series, but I like the oddball characters, but I hate Fairyland. Fluff off.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Whoops, my Siri was talking. But yeah, so pretty
So
cool.
you're basically, instead of venomizing things, you're maximizing things.
I am maximizing things. It's really funny,
So
but I love it.
So maybe you're going to start a new trend, maximizing characters.
Bring it on! I will maximize every character.
I wonder if anybody ever did that before. I don't think anybody's made maximizing characters. Venomizing, yes.
Yeah, I've venomized the max. So that one I think got graded, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I had to venomize the max.
Do you do that for your customers as far as sending it to CGC with them and that kind of process?
I do. I work with CGC and CBCS.
Do you feel that's a pain in the ass as far as worrying about 9.6s and 9.8s and 9.4s and that kind of thing?
I mean, as long as the artist or the fan knows that there's a chance because I'm drawing on it that it might not come back a 9.8. A lot of them, will get it graded as art or no grade. They just want it slabbed and preserved with the yellow label. It's the actual comic books when I send over. That's when I start getting like, hey, I found an extra crispy book for you. Let's see what we can get on it. So yeah, it's more of a headache doing the paperwork to send in with.
You got to fill out 2 pages every time you do it for them, but yeah, it's a little bit nerve wracking, I would assume.
Yeah.
Because, but the thing is, it's artwork. You're physically drawing on the medium, on the comic itself. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, it's impossible forever to come mint because you're putting pressure on the book. You're drawing on the book. You when you buy a canvas, when you buy a piece of artwork that's a more of a traditional art piece, nobody's ever looking at, how many indents are on that canvas, or how deeply did the person make those strokes onto that Bristol board, or whatever the case is. You don't see that happening. But with the comics, people are worried about getting them a high grade artwork, which kind of stifles your creativity, doesn't it?
A little bit. I don't even really think too much about it now.
Because let's say you want to get like deep down and dirty on that cover, like you want to get like really like really rough with that cover. In the back of your mind, you got to worry about the condition, right?
I actually will put like a piece of the bleed through on this, on the back of this one. I actually put a piece of board in between so that it doesn't bleed on the actual comic book, and I protect the back of it with the backing board while I'm drawing, because my actual drawing desk gets kind of dirty, and if it'll get all scuffed up. Yeah. My worst fear is erasing, so I will lightly erase. It'll take a little bit of time because my worst fear is it like creasing. Like I've done that before on paper. Yeah, and I'm like wrinkling the paper. So I do take precautions. That. Oh yeah, look at that.
See, any commissions I would do for anybody on a sketch cover, I will assure them that will come at least a 0.5.
Right.
I promise 0.5s or above. Anything like that, just consider it gravy. Because you do clean work, you do clean line work. I've seen how you work in person, and I've seen you. I've seen it in person, the actual artwork. It's a very clean line work that you do. I do very dirty work, very sketchy, very charcoal-y, very that kind of stuff. So it destroys the medium that I'm working on, but it's part of the art process.
Yeah, I love getting messy though. Like if you ever see one of my original 11x17s, I use a toothbrush to get like ink flicks everywhere. It gets back.
to get those like little like droplets in there.
Mhm.
It's not bad. That toothbrush is like the next best tool after those brushes.
It really is. Yeah, I remember doing it at shows, and people would stop and stare, like, What the hell's the toothbrush?" I'm like, "I'm watch." And I'd show them what I was doing with it, and it was amazing. So yeah, they absolutely loved it. I still use it to this day. Heck, I use a black crayon for anytime I need to ink. If it lays down the line and it gives like a really cool texture, I'm using it.
Yeah, it's all about the texture. That's what people forget about. Like everybody
Yeah.
gets so involved with the grades and the actual finish of it that part of the beauty is actually being able to feel the texture, the bumps, the little craters that happen in between the paint and that kind of work. What's your favorite medium to work with?
I like ink. Um, I'll use
Straight
Copic for color, yeah, but I'll use like my pen and ink drawings. I
like
love
regular India ink or like marker ink?
uh, Indie ink, microns, black
Like
and
this
white.
kind of stuff?
Yeah, Higgins, that's good stuff.
You use quills or you only use the micron style?
Both. It
You
just
like
depends.
quill?
I do. It actually like I've learned to use the quill. I have a very heavy hand, so I need that quill because if I use the brush, I'd just destroy the brushes. But the quill, I can actually get a little bit of control, especially on contours. But I don't use it near as often as most. I still like my. I'll reach over and grab my 08 because I know what that does. I'll grab my 03 because I know what that line looks like. Or I'll use my Tombow pens because I know I can, put a little more pressure on those to get whatever look I'm desiring.
So, do you feel that that's your go-to? You don't have any interest in any fine arts, more traditional type of canvas painting, acrylic oil, that kind of stuff?
No, I'm not patient enough. I like when I color. You want to say, yeah, and yes, I did do a Toothbrush on Roadkill Rampage 3 cover. Um, I like with marker. I lay it down, it's dry. I can go right in and keep going. Same with color pencil. If I'm laying down color, I can just move right on. Whereas paint, like acrylic or oil or whatever, I have to wait for it to dry before I can layer on top of it. I'm not a patient person. I want to get my projects done and go. That's kind of why I like this industry because the faster you work, the faster you get paid. So I want to get projects done ASAP, and I want to see the payoff in the piece. Like, all right, I just invested 5-6 hours into this, and look at this. This looks amazing.
So you said how quickly you could work, and one of the things that you added to your toolbox or to your way of presenting is through Whatnot now, where you're doing these
Mhm.
live streams where you're actually drawing live for people on there, which I think is
Mhm.
a really wonderful aspect of that app. A lot of people focus on the collectible part of it, like this buying comics, buying cards, Funkos, and whatever
Pop
the hell else
figures.
they're selling on there. But I think the best part for me personally, and I think once more and more people discover this, is the art portion of Whatnot, where you see a lot of artists like yourself and many other artists that are extremely talented that are doing live streams and they're drawing live commissions for you, almost like you're at a con.
Mhm.
It's basically a virtual meeting with that artist, and they're sitting and drawing your customized piece in front of you. I think it's a beautiful thing as far as one seeing how people work and seeing technique, and at the same time getting a chance to actually pick your brain. Because
Mhm.
a couple of times that I went on when you were on there, I got to ask you a ton of questions, and you're doing the commission, so you're not throwing me out of the stream, unlike you, Liefeld. Uh, because yeah, I got blocked off his stream a couple of times because I asked too many questions.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
because he's Liefeld, but uh, a normal human being will answer the questions.
Mhm.
and actually like want to engage. Like one, you get business out of it. The people are fans, and they're paying for you to get the stuff done. But at the same time, it's like it's a different kind of community kind of feel where people
Mhm.
are like swapping ideas, asking questions with each other. I've noticed that a lot of other artists jumped into other artists. Like I've seen artists jump into your streams while you're doing stuff, and I've seen the same thing happen in their streams where people are asking each other. And people are like almost comparing their techniques to each other. Like, holy crap! I didn't see how he did that. That kind of worked for me too. I could kind of do that, or they'll throw a pointer out at you and say, "Hey, do you ever try doing this?" And then maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
It's a really cool environment. I think more and more as time passes through, that's going to be a really beautiful thing for the Whatnot app, and at the same time, a great experience for the consumer. But that being said, that puts pressure on you. You got to move quickly now, as
Mhm.
far as you don't want to be on for 3 hours and only do one piece because you're basically be working for a fraction of minimum wage if that's the case. You want to actually you want to get as many pieces out as humanly possible. So that do you feel that has helped get your skills better or quicker or both? Because there's,
I
there's one thing to work quickly and
mhm.
one thing to work better. Do you think it helped you do both at the same time, or just be able to crank out work?
I think it's helped both. Because if someone's watching, you're absolutely going to be getting my absolute best because I don't ever want to give out crap. Heck, I mean, when I did that blind, I let my son pick books for me. He picked out a Berserker, and I was struggling so hard to draw again a likeness, something I typically don't do, of uh, Keanu
Keanu?
Reeves, and I ended up just said, "Hey, I'm going to redraw a book because I know I can't do this. I'm not going to put out crap." Um, so I really focus on the detail and everything. I naturally work quickly, and I think that just goes back to my old job of writing manuals because we needed products out quick, and we couldn't release a unit without a manual legally. So I just naturally work quick. I thoroughly enjoy it. I know one of my first commission live streams on Whatnot, I took 16 commissions. I think I got, and I take their policy very very serious about getting things shipped out within 48 hours. I take that very serious because I don't like to sit and wait on stuff. If it's done, I want it out. You paid for it, so I took 16 commissions, and in the 4 hours I was live, I think I got 13 or 14 done
Wow.
within that live
Normal,
stream.
what, normal 9x12s?
Blank covers, and
Holy
I think blank
crap.
covers and sketch cards. Yeah, so I got all those done, and then I think I completed the remaining three or four um, the next morning, and they were all shipped out shortly after that, like hours after.
You're not
I
talking
sort of have
color, black and whites. They had to be black and whites that you did,
Yep,
right?
they were color. Yep, they were
Full
all
color.
color.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I posted them too on my Facebook. So if anyone goes to the Art of Adam Fields page, there you scroll down, you'll see. But I always have receipts for everything that I do because there's a lot of people that will talk big game of I can do this, I can do that, but ultimately I like to see action. So there's a handful of people that I believe when they say, "Oh, we're going to do this," and then I know they're going to do it because I've seen it repeat, and that's what I want people to think of me whenever they work or they commission me for something. If I say like this previous commission order that I took, I said, "Hey, everyone's going to be done by the end of September. I've only got two left that I got to do, and I hit my deadline." So I like to, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try to not exceed my my promise.
So you think doing cons before this actually help you hone that skill as far as being able to crank out as much as you can, as fast as you can? Because that, when you're at a con, every minute matters because
Mhm.
you're on the clock from the minute you pay for that booth.
Yep.
From the minute you pay for that booth and you get there, you already have your booth expense, your travel expense is if you have to stay at a hotel, your hotel expense, and what eating and what are the other little expenses that you have while you're there. So you
Mhm.
already got a budget. Like I'm in the red, I need to get past this point. So you're flying as fast as you can through all your work to be able to cover that red first, just to break even. So
Yeah.
you feel that that's what got you to work fast, or was it that you were just naturally a fast worker?
I naturally like at first I didn't know I was fast. I didn't know like what how I've been doing, commissions and drawing was fast. I just knew that it's just what I did. It's when I started watching other artists and how they I'm like, why don't you just fill that in? But they're like really taking their time. I'm like, you can go a little faster and it still work, but that's their way. But that's when I started realizing when I started looking at around, I'm like, oh, okay, that this is how other people work. I mean, it works for them, so I mean, more power to you. But if I can deliver amazing pieces quickly, and I see that as a win for me and a win for the fan because that means they get their book, they get their original piece. Now, if I send it in for grading, I can't speed up the grading,
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
I,
Well,
I do my part, but at least I got it there. I always picture everything to be just hot, and I just want it out. Because if I buy something, I want it in a relatively quick time.
it probably
And
helps you that you work with ink too, though. If you work with
oh
other
yeah,
mediums, you might not be
yeah,
able to work as quickly because you might be have to wait between drying of layers and that kind of thing.
exactly.
So that helps
So,
as
and
well.
I really like marker, and that's when I first got started. I was looking at Todd Knock, and that's the tool he started. He was using was these Copic markers, and so I started buying sets, and that's my go-to weapon traditionally. Now I've started layering acrylic paint on things as finishes. Um, I've just learned to build my arsenal here and there. Sometimes I will actually go in first with acrylic paint. So it just really depends on the piece. 90% of my pieces are, colored with marker and a little bit of colored pencil, but there are a few where I have to add other mediums to
It depends
achieve
on
the
the effect
desired
that you
look.
want to have, right?
hmm Yep.
So who's the artist that inspires you the most? Who's like the artist that you're like, I'd love to be able to get to that level kind of artist. I mean, we're all different. We all have our different skills, and obviously, artists, um, uh, you know, particular to every individual themselves. But there's got to be an artist that you said that's my artist. For
hmm
me, Beasley is my artist. I love Simon Beasley. Like
hmm
you might say, well, he's different. Whatever. It's just my style. I love that style more than anything else. Who's your artist?
Yeah. So I have a Mount Rushmore. David Finch is probably my number one.
He's phenomenal.
Uh, he's phenomenal. His teaching is actually very. His technique is great, and he can actually articulate it. And he's very broad with his range. Not only can he draw, he can ink, but he can paint, he can color, he can airbrush, he can do it all, and he does it all masterfully.
He
So
is an excellent, excellent artist.
yeah, he's the number one. Um, I really love Greg Capullo. His panel layouts and his storytelling is so good and so dynamic. The poses, he's got his unique style. It's just beautiful. Jim Lee has to probably be number three, just because of again his art style. I like the heavy blacks, the shadowing, the dynamic poses. He was actually just at the con I was at this past weekend. I didn't get a chance to meet him. I didn't buy the package, but he was there, and I thought it was pretty cool. Everyone
Let
said
me
he was
ask you, how does it work
superb.
when you have a booth in one of these
Mhm.
cons, and he has a booth too? does he treat you like all the other people that are there, or like does he give you a little bit of respect?
No, he was in a whole other room. Like he was away from all of
So
us.
he's like, fuck everybody else. I'm in my
He
own
was
room. I'm
he was
Jim
only
Lee.
there one day. So, but I
I'm
think
Jim
what it
Lee.
was,
That's it.
what yeah, what it was, he actually had a package deal where everyone was able to go. He did a panel talk. Then he also had one-on-one meetings with people. So they didn't want they knew he was going to draw a crowd, and they didn't want that to interfere with traffic in the con. Because I've been to shows where they had big headliners, and let me tell you, the line gets backed up, you get blocked, you can't make a sale. So
So
I think they did us a
these
favor.
big guys don't go walking around the con and interacting with like some of the new guys or anything like that.
Some do. I know Capula was at Cincinnati a few years ago, and him and Scott Snyder were actually walking around, and they complimented my work as they walked by. That was one of the biggest highlights of my life as an artist, was having one of my idols looked at my work and he goes, "Looks nice." It was
Don't you
beautiful.
find that to be a kind thing to do?
Mhm.
Just taking a quick walk through the con, and if you see something nice, you like that guy just made your day by walking by
Yeah,
there and just saying, "Hey, that's pretty cool."
yeah,
I wish
yeah.
more people of their level did that because I think it helps aspiring artists, writers, people that are trying to break through in the industry get a little bit of encouragement. But I see a lot of people knocking a lot of the new jacks down more than actually uh, elevating them. Do you think there's a little bit of a jealousy or a little bit of territorial kind of thing going on with the older guys?
I think it's ego. Ego will always get in the way. They've been in it for so long. They think that well, I've done all this. I've paved the way. I should, have this respect. And yeah, you should to a degree. But again, you're only human. So, you're still doing things, but there's also room for others. One of the best talks that I heard was actually by a couple voice actors. They said, we're all at the same birthday party, we're all going to get cake. It just depends on how long we stay. If you leave the party early, you're not going to get cake. But if you stay, we're all going to get a slice. So just hang out, do your work, and eventually you're going to get a slice. So I took that and I just ran with it. That's why I'm still doing what I'm doing.
And on that note, do you interact with a lot of the newer guys? Like when you go to
Oh,
the cons, do you have like maybe they're not your friends where you call up every day, but when you meet up at the con, you shoot the shit with them and like have like your little clique or group that like you're friends with at every con.
mhm. Oh
So
yeah.
who are your favorite guys to associate with whenever you're at the
So,
con?
well, actually, one of them just joined the chat. Chad Shodel. He's actually the colorist. I met him just walking around the con. I wasn't even set up yet, but he's become one of my best friends. Um, this past weekend, there was an artist I heard through the grapevine through another established artist friend, that this guy had just received a cover deal for Power Rangers, based on a piece he did for Jason David Frank. It was a commission before he passed, and so I found out where he was. I learned his story. He just got a bunch of deals by other Power Rangers that were in attendance there. They loved his cover, wants to do exclusive covers for him. So this guy's career has taken off. So I actually went and purposely met him, um, and said, "Hey, I got to know him before I told him the story. He'd only been doing this since 2020, and his story was phenomenal of how he got here. And I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know, congratulations on landing this. I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years, and I haven't gotten a big title like that. I could, be one of those bitter guys, but I refuse to ever let myself be that way. I genuinely am excited for him because I'm like, dude, this is going to take you off, and I'm excited to see where this takes you." So we celebrate each other's successes. At least I try. I go around, I get to know these up and coming artists, and I want to see what they're able to do, because you never know. They may need help, or I might need help that they could help with. And if I can offer them a gig, I've given a couple guys their first cover jobs. and I'm honored to do it.
That's awesome. And seeing like people like helping build each other up from the
Yeah.
get-go. That's the way to go about doing it. And it's kind of like what we're talking about behind stage as far as networking with other individuals in the industry. And that's I think it's just equally as important as being talented. You got to know how to talk and who to talk to and get yourself associated with the right people. It's really important. And I'm going to ask you a question that I ask everybody that's an artist or a writer that comes on. When you're doing cons and you have your own books on your thing and you're selling them, and somebody wants you to sign it, do you charge extra for a signature or
Nope?
Whatever the cost of the book is, you'll sign it.
I scribble on it for free, so I tell everybody. Yep.
Do you find it a little bit apprehensive when somebody sells a book and then asks for additional signature fee?
I can understand like some of the bigger guys. If they're in a line, they would sign like 5 for free, and then beyond that, it's $5, $10, $20. The dollar amounts are what kind of I get hung up on, but I understand if they don't come prepped, it could be you're hanging up the line at this point. I believe for a nuisance fee, but I have a hard time, for people that want to charge $25, $30 per book to sign. I'm like, really? Why? Like, I don't get it. But that's again their ego, and I really can't knock them for
I
it.
could understand that if somebody, like you said, takes a stack of books to the guy and says,
Yeah.
sign them. I'm asking specifically when somebody actually purchases something from that artist or creator themselves directly, and then they charge on top of the purchase that they make. So sometimes you got these $40, $50, $100 exclusives, $20, whatever the cost is, and then like, well, another $10, $15, $20 for another for if you want it signed.
Yeah, no,
they
shouldn't do that. I don't like that. The only thing I charge extra for is a remark, and it's because I do color remarks, and it's my acrylics. And I only charge $20 for a remark. It makes the book unique, and it's a one-on-one, and I see it as a small commission.
Time and you put adding more time into it. It's a different situation altogether.
A signature that I can do without even looking, like. Yeah, Chad says it best right there. I'm honored when someone wants me to sign something. Shoot, I've signed guitar picks with my artwork on it. I've signed collector boxes with my artwork on it. I will sit there and sign anything that you need. Trading cards. I've signed. I saw someone ask earlier if I signed body parts. No, I have not.
Not yet. Well,
not yet.
Listen, well, you made it. As soon as somebody whips out their boob, you made it.
That's right. Like, I'll sign your baby's forehead, whatever. But to me, it's just an honor to be able to sign it. And I figure if I'm signing something right there and I have to let my ink dry, it gives me another opportunity to maybe upsell or say, hey, while this dries, did you check out this over here, or talk about the print, or answer any questions that they might have. So it's just another way to keep talking.
Do you struggle with your pricing? Like, do you have a hard time being able to evaluate the value of your own work?
I do. I just ran into that this weekend too on a live sale that we did at the show. I've had the chance to work with a couple different comic shops on different live sales. I can price my commissions because I just have a blanket price for headshots, full figure, color, black and white. I have blanket pricing for all that. It's when I get to the actual original artwork that's where I struggle. Since you made it to the top, that is a fact.
She knows.
That's funny. But yeah, I struggle with the original because it's like, how do you put a price on that? Like, it has. You go by character? Do you go by time, detail? That's where I hang up. And so I base it off of my commission price. And then I go, is it was it published? Was it not published? And I base it off of that. So I think I outpriced myself this past weekend on a few things, but you live and learn, and you adjust it, from there. But if there's a piece that I want to hold on to, but I'd be okay selling, I do put I'm happy with that price on it. So I've done it on a few pieces.
Are you critical of your own work?
Oh, every day,
Like,
every day.
are you the biggest critic of your own work, or do you let the public speak for you?
I if I listen to everybody that says, well, you should have done this, or you should do this, or whatever, you're going to drive yourself mad. I look at my stuff. I have a panel of close friends that I will value their opinions over, a Joe Schmo that saw my work one time in person, or the guy that says, "Here, look at my portfolio." I look through, and it's stuff that I've seen, high schoolers do better work of. I give them honest feedback, and that's it. But for them to be critical of stuff I've done, well, I it rolls off my back like a duck. It drives my wife nuts. I had a podcast. They were reviewing one of my books, my first Prowl book, and they were very honest about the dialogue and how they spoke. Like it seemed robotic, and it's because I was writing it with a technical writing mind still, and I didn't realize it. But I'm just taking notes as they're reviewing this. Meanwhile, my wife's in the back seething, like I physically feel her mad. So when I was done, I turned around and went, "That was good," and she's like, and she goes, "How dare they say that about your work?" I went, "What are you talking about? They were just giving feedback. Like it didn't mean anything to me. It was improvement." And
Well, you
she
know what?
says,
You should feel very proud and very happy that you have a spouse that actually
"Oh, I
is
do."
that protective of you. I mean, I mean, like she should be a little bit honest with you, and as far as
Hmm.
if there's things that need to be adjusted. But at the same time, the fact that she got so defensive for you, that should be really heartwarming for you. And that's one of the things that actually um, intrigued me when you were on doing the stream on whatnot. You have your wife with you, and she's
Hmm.
helping you through the whole process. And you told me that she actually helps you at the cons as well.
Hmm.
That's got to be really, really helpful. Not only like physically, actually the physical help that she gives you, but psychologically. That's got to be a really nice thing to have somebody that's supportive, that is really helping you get to a level where you need to be in your career at this point.
Hmm.
Uh, super impressive that you have somebody like that, because typically the majority of situations you don't see a lot of positive reinforcement that's coming in from groups around artists. It's a lot of
Hmm.
negative stuff. They might tell you, "Hey, that's cute, but go get a real job," kind of a thing.
Oh yeah,
Or
I've heard that all the time. That's the
so
most insulting phrase
knowing
you can
the most
say to
important
an
person
artist
in your
too.
life, which is your spouse, is giving you that kind of endorsement and reinforcement. I think it is a really, really positive thing. What about the rest of your family? Are they really supportive of you, or are they pessimistic?
So very early on, as I mentioned, bless you. I just heard her sneezing there. I didn't know she was home. But very
Well,
early on,
don't
I
tell her. I
always
said, don't let
heard,
it get to her head.
right. Very early on, I heard mainly from my dad. Hey, that's great, but when are you going to get the real job? I've always heard that art is a hobby. Art is it's not a real job. But when you look around, literally it's everywhere. You can't go down a grocery aisle without seeing some sort of design work. Can't turn on the TV without seeing design work. Drive down the street, you're going to see billboards. You're going to see it's everywhere. It's all, literally makes up our world. So I had to explain that to my dad over and over and over. With that being said, now that I've been doing this for years and he's seen the success, he is 100% on board. He's actually surprised me at a few cons showing up and just to see everything. And it kind of blew him away that who I was setting up next to. He didn't realize that a lot of artists would be set up next to celebrity artists or even just celebrities. One of my dear friends I met at the con, his name's Guy Gilchrist. He was Jim Henson's cartoonist. My dad actually knew who he was because of country music. And he goes, "You're setting up next to him?" I said, "Yeah, I didn't know who he was. To me, it was just a guy." And it really solidified it with him. Like, my son is actually making something, and he's doing it for a purpose. And I think because of the purpose, that's when his mindset changed. Because he never, as parents, we always want to see our kids succeed. We want to see them do better than them. And when they're doing something risky, like leaving a corporate job, making decent money with a 401k and insurance to pursue art, it on paper sounds really bad. But now he's seeing the vision, and it means the world to me. My wife, she's been supportive ever since, and I don't think she'll ever know truly what her support means when she's sitting right here on Monday nights reading and just bantering with me, or when she does get to make it to cons. It's not all the time, but when she does, like, the support internally means more than I can actually express out loud. So, yeah, if you have an artist friend, support them by just being there. My mom will support me however she can. She shares all my stuff on social media, but just asking, like, "Hey, what are you working on?" That right there is a loaded question that will get our endorphins flowing. Like, "Oh yeah, you want to know?" Because we're storytellers. We want to share our work.
At what point in your career did you know that you made it and you could make a living off of it? I know that the trigger was that con that you made that $50, but
Yep.
when did you actually start making money to say, you know what, I could support my family now, and I don't need to work another job?
It was later in my career. I was actually at a comic book shop called Comics Elite over in Indianapolis. They had me in as a guest, a guest
Was that with Sean?
artist.
Comics Elite?
It wasn't with Sean. It was with Ernie. It was
Okay.
their indie store. Sean's the owner, yeah, but they have an Indianapolis location. That's where they do like all their like store live streams. It's basically like their warehouse. It's a beautiful store, and so they set me up, and I already had Prowl and a bunch of other books that I've worked on, and Ernie and I we worked on an exclusive foil print for them, and they also take commissions. Well, I'm sitting there and I didn't know what to expect, but they had a whole staff there, waiting on me hand and foot. They said, basically, you just have to talk. We're going to do everything. I said, okay. They start off with commissions, and I was there for 3 days. They took commissions and then book orders and then, then print orders. I ended up after 3 days breaking not only a financial record for them for those 3 days, but I also broke the commission sales record for most commissions sold in the 3 days.
That's
I took 127 commissions in 3 days.
That's
I didn't get them done.
Tasmanian Devil, how fast you work. That's one of probably the biggest reasons.
So it took 4 months to fulfill that. The 127, and it was nonstop, work, but 4 month turnaround on over 100 pieces original. That was a mix between figures, headshots, full color, black and white, whatever. They said that was the fastest turnaround they've ever had. But the financial goal, I was actually able to give my wife something that she'd always wanted, which was a privacy fence at our old house. And as the truck backed in with all the stuff on it for a fence, I looked at it and I looked at her. I said, "Comics did this. Like, my art funded this, and we still had leftover." So at that moment, that's when I realized this is my job. This is who I am. And from that moment on, I've been trying to give that much energy to it. And I know the store.
Did you already quit your primary job at that point, or were you still working at simultaneously?
No, I was already all in at that point, but things hadn't been the best at least. But I didn't realize I was planting seeds along the way that were going to be watered and grow that weekend. And ever since then, consistently, if I open up commissions, I don't get near as much now because I don't have that kind of view like they do. But I do enough that I'm like, all right, I'm still here. We're still doing this, and it's working out. And then on Whatnot, I still have streams, and I'm thankful for every Tuesday I have shipments I have to take to the post office because more people are coming on and grabbing stuff. So and it goes back to also delivering on time. So they were very nervous because they hadn't had to write a check that big before for an artist, and they were like, well, what if you flake? Like, what if I get it? They were worried like, well, that's a lot of orders. What if you don't deliver? They had someone take significantly less orders but take way longer to deliver. And I told them, I said, well, don't pay me. They just kind of were baffled. I said, "Don't pay me until I deliver the first, couple batches." I said, "I'll return by next weekend," and I had 25 for them by the next weekend. They were happy to write me a check because they knew, like, hey, well, this guy's legit. And then every weekend I was just delivering, more and more books over to them. And they didn't know this, but there was a paintball field that was over in Indianapolis that I'd stop at and play at after I delivered the book. So I had other reasons to go over, but I mean, it was, it was on my way, and I really wanted to make sure that everyone that had ordered um, got their stuff, and I really wanted to leave an impression with this shop. So I
So
wanted to
has
do
that been a
that.
good relationship, ongoing relationship with the Comics League going forward?
Yeah, but I've moved way further away from Indiana now, so I don't get to go over there often. But I know eventually our paths are going to cross again, or I'll set up something because there's other stores I'm working with over in Illinois, and they want me out. So if there's ever a chance to sort of shop hop all the way across, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, I definitely didn't want to burn a bridge.
Do you do a lot of that private signings and stuff like that in the individual LCSs?
It's something that's becoming more and more frequent. It seems it's something I never thought I'd ever have the chance to do, but I just did a live sale at the con this past weekend, and they want me out to do a signing and show over there. We might even be able to remote in like this. But yeah, a lot of shops are starting to reach out to me here and there. I have one local that's opening, and they asked me to be a guest at their grand opening. So um, yeah, just things are just kind of taking off still, and it's wild to me. I'm not having to reach out as much as I had to. They're kind of coming to me, which is always good. But yeah, it's kind of awkward for this little guy from Ohio.
So it sounds like everything's like clicking, everything is running on full cylinders right now, and I think only positive things could go forward. But I'm gonna have to ask you this because this is a hot topic for a lot of people.
Yeah,
What do you feel about AI
I hate it.
on all levels, writing and
All
on?
of it. All of it. Yeah. If you're a writer and you have
what is
writer's
it that you
block,
hate about it? The actual practice of using it, the fear
um,
of taking over.
behind the scenes, how it doesn't generate its own stuff. It doesn't have a brain. What it does is it reaches out to the deep corners of the internet and will compile other artists, author or physical artist pieces to put together your prompt. So, if there's a art germ piece out there and it looks really familiar, because Art Germ, Ariel Diaz, they all have that similar look. It's just going to pick pieces from all their stuff and put it together and say, "Here, I did this." No, you didn't. You copied parts of other artists and just compiled them. in cyberspace, and I don't like that.
What about people that
It's
use it as a crutch, where they use it as reference?
that's tough too because as an artist, I find references and I rely on my own vision because if I can look at the stapler and see a building in the stapler, that's where I want to keep my mind fresh with creativity, where I'm looking at something and seeing difference.
So where do you put that? You have AI, you have tracing, and you have light boxing. Put them all in category, top to bottom. How do you rank them?
So tracing and lightboxing are at the top. AI is the very, very bottom. Tracing is actually a very, very good practice when done correctly. So there are artists, professional comic book artists that a lot of people know, and actually one was mentioned in the chat not too long ago who traces his own work because when we're on a time crunch, um, we need to come up with something very
Mhm.
quick. He will actually do layouts using his own references that he made himself strictly for this. He'll grab, this figure's head, he'll grab this figure's torso, this leg, this arm, and he traces that versus having to come up with it every single time fresh because he
Well,
wants to turn and
if you're
burn.
using your own stuff,
Mhm.
it's not really tracing.
Nope. Nope. But tracing other people's work, I actually use in practice. So if I like the way that this arm looks muscular, I need practice. I'm going to trace it and dissect it, and then I'm going to try to replicate it. So I use it as a basically a study guide. I want to make sure that okay, this is what it looks. Now, how do I animate that? How do I push it to its limit so that it doesn't look broken, but it still looks realistic enough?
So
I
you
learned that
use
from
it in
Proko.
your practice repetitions.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. And then
Uh,
Lightbox is just
I kind of
you
had a feeling as far as
mhm.
where you were going to go with that. So that's why I wanted to rank. What do you rank those? So, what do you think is a bigger threat, AI or overseas workers working for $1.25 an hour?
Mm.
Just
Honestly, AI.
when you thought I told you the worst thing that could happen, I could bring you another thing that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, so I actually use overseas workers on some of my stuff, my flatters. If it's a piece, not a lot of people over here like to flat. We like to color. We will hire our friends over there because to them that's a livable wage. I'm
Now
all about
explain to
helping
everybody what a
everybody.
flatter is.
So a flatter is essentially someone that goes into a line uh, comic book, black and white, and they will just drop flat colors. There's no
Mhm.
rendering, no highlights, no shadows, no anything. It's just the localized base color. So if you actually look at the very top here, this is basically flat color on that. And then someone will get these, and then we'll go through and they will add the shadows, the depth, and the highlights for the the values and bring it to life with that. So to do that process, there's actually a whole industry built around flatting. It just speeds up the coloring process.
Yeah, and if anybody ever bought a color guide that's on
Hmm.
original art, that's basically what a flatter does.
Exactly. Yep.
Do you think that
So
they really have a necessary? I mean, it does allow like a chain to take place as far as getting things almost like on a assembly line kind of a
mhm.
situation. But do you feel that they're absolutely necessary, or is that something the colorist really should be doing altogether?
So all my colorists, well, I know Chad, he doesn't really flat, I don't think. He has more of a painting approach. But most colorists, they have flatters on reserve. Um, because so, as she said, it's tedious work because it is.
Mhm.
And if someone can make a living just doing that and get really good and fast at it, I know people will charge $5 to $15 per page depending on levels of detail. Um, and to me, that it's 100% worth it. If you're getting paid, you know, 20 some dollars for colors and flatting, that's rough. But if you're getting color cover colors for 80 to 100. 15 is not going to be a big deal if it's going to save you hours of work. So when I used to flat my own stuff, it would take me an hour and a half to 2 hours per page. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'll pay someone else to do it. I'll work on something else that makes me a little more money. And then when I get those back, then I'm good. And I carry on with mine. So we just share the profit of, I just build in the flat rate in my pricing.
So you do hire out from overseas the people that do that. Where you find them usually, like Fiverr, that kind of a thing?
No, actually, there's a whole. Actually, the two flatters that I've actually used reached out to me, and they were actively looking for work. And again, I want to make sure that they were, reputable.
Please don't tell me that those are the assholes that reach out to you on IG and say, "I do very good artwork and hire me now," and they send you a whole bunch of stuff that's other people's work.
No, I put up an APB out in the Facebook group.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Yeah,
no.
I know you get them. Everybody gets those guys.
Everyone does. I blocked those. I was like, no. But these guys,
don't you find it a little offensive? Like, don't you say, like, did you realize I could do my own artwork? I don't need you to do my artwork for me.
Right. Let me make you a YouTube video or an emoji for you. Like, no, I'm good. I'm good. All the time. Get them all the time. But I put out in a specific coloring Facebook group, hey, I'm looking for a flatter, and I just went through and found the best ones that I thought was worth the money they were asking. And I've worked with him now for about 2-3 years, so he's phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not even overseas. He just happened to be from the Philippines. I've worked with U.S. flatters before. I was a U.S. flatter for a little bit until I didn't like doing it because it took too long.
Competitive are the rates?
There's not really that much a difference. We all basically use this website called fairpagerates.com, and that's kind of what we all based everything off of. So when they say $15 USD, I see the wherever it goes, I see what it translates into their currency, and I'm like, dang, that's a lot. So I'm helping someone's livelihood, whether it be over there or if one of my buddies from the States, like, hey, I'll do it for $10 a page. Okay, cool. Then he's helping me out. Either way, I'm getting what I need, and they're happy with what they're getting.
So gone are the days of $1.25 an hour? No more?
No more. I know.
You could at least wait until I release my book first, so I could hire all the cheap labor and
right. We just got our coupons, and I remember the 5 for $5 at Arby's, and now it's two can dine for $9.99. I'm like, oh, man.
Look, I can't believe how much the time has flied. We've been on for about 2 hours right now. I want to make sure that at least I get a chance to highlight a couple things from your link tree. Tell everybody a little bit about that. And I also want to give everybody the opportunity to ask any questions that they have on there as well. So I'm opening the platform to people that want to ask any questions. I do have a couple of star questions that I did catch that I know that we haven't answered. So I'm going to get to those in a second. But right now, we're going to open it up for everybody out there that's been waiting and anticipating to ask Adam all their questions. And no question, no perverted questions. He's a married man. He's a family man. So keep it minimal, people. Okay. So ask your questions out. I'm going to go to the star questions right now. I hate StreamYard. Yeah. Have I ever told you how much I hate StreamYard? I hate it. I hate it with a passion. It's so convoluted. Anyway, so let's ask the questions, people.
Any questions?
You're gonna answer no questions, and I won't tell you no lies.
Hey Lord, don't ask me questions. Hey Lord, don't ask me questions, please.
What do you want? What do you want from us? To ask you this much is just a matter of trust, not an affront. What do you want?
All right. There you go, people. Tell us what you want. I know that we did answer this question. You have not drawn on anybody's body parts.
No boobs yet. 'Cause I
But
haven't
since
made it.
But since we do have this starred, I want to ask you this question: Is there a body part that you would not sign if you were asked to? Or you
I
open
can't tell.
like you don't discriminate body parts? All body parts will be signed.
Yeah, I'll sign anything because I can't control if they come out with them already out. It's already out. Might as well.
There you go. You just got to be careful what kind of marker you use.
That's right.
Sharpies could be dangerous. My biggest issue with OA is the shipping. If I get more commission, if I get one more commission with a creative with the crease down the middle, I'm gonna flip out. How do you package art? That's a great question,
That is a very good question because I take packaging very serious
and it's a
because
very
of this.
big problem with a lot of artists because
Mhm.
a lot of artists think they're packaging it well, and they're using a lot of material, but it's not packed well. How do you do
I'm
it?
actually, with those right there. Those are Gemini mailer cardboard pieces with Gemini mailers. I will put the artwork in bubble wrap. I'll wrap it in bubble wrap, and then I will sandwich it in between cardboard like this, and then put it in the Gemini mailer. And if you've never seen the Gemini mailer, what kind of comic book fan are you? I'm going to grab one right now for you. This is a mailer. You bend it like this. You put your book in there. It folds up like this. And it's going to be very rigid. And then I use a legal flat rate envelope if it fits. I use a legal flat rate mailer to reinforce it.
Oh, so
But
you
yeah.
put Gemini in the legal flower. That's a little
Mhm.
hack that people don't know. It's a way to
Yeah.
save a little bit money on shipping, because you don't have to worry about weights at that point. But and at the
Mhm.
same time, it gives an extra protective layer. But what do you do with the actual larger pieces that are not like comic?
I use
Size?
oversized boxes. So if I'm shipping 11 by 17, those are 18 by 12, and they're about 2-inch to 3-inch thick. So I wrap those in bubble wrap, sandwich them in cardboard, put more bubble wrap in there, and then I ship them over. The only way that they would get damaged is if they get crushed, which I know can happen. Knock on wood that it doesn't, but I've been very lucky since I've been shipping using those.
That makes a lot of sense. So you always send it out flat. You don't roll them. You don't send them in
No.
two.
OA does not get rolled. Only prints get rolled, and that's if they don't have a remark on them.
I like what you're going with that because that I'll share some stories another day because we could take up the whole stream talking about horror stories of mailing because I got quite a few.
Right?
It looks
Oh, I
like
believe
people are
it.
definitely agreeing with you.
Good.
Your store shows a page in stock I actually got from you a few months ago. Batman, 11 by 17.
Yeah, I got to do some updating. So my Whatnot store, when things are ordered or even picked up at shows, they're not always taken out of my Square shop. That's why on my shop, I'm not taking orders because I have to go through and reevaluate everything. I always turn off my online store after or during a big show because I don't want something to sell there or something that's sold already. So
Now, are you
yeah,
talking about the online store that's attached to your Whatnot account or your website?
my website.
Website. Okay.
Yeah. My website store is kind of hard to keep managed, especially because there's different avenues that's not always linked to one source.
I think we answered this question already. I think you're enamored with the Max at this point.
Yeah.
Are there any other bizarre characters that you would love to be drawing like the Max?
Oh shoot. No, he's probably the goofiest, but I don't know any other really goofy ones besides Mr. Mix-a-Pixely or whatever from Superman.
You like the mix of blah, 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 that guy?
Yeah, yeah, he's pretty cool. Or I mean, they just did the spot. He was going to be one of my like favorite ones to draw, but then he became mainstream because of the movie, and I went, ah, crap. So now if I do a piece like they're just going to think I'm doing it because of the show, but I actually really liked him as a concept. So
So you wanted to make Spot mainstream before he was mainstream.
yeah, I think he was just a really cool character overall. Hey, look, there I am.
There you go. Look at that. You have a handsome profile over there. Do you think that hurts like looking good, or should you look like beat up and disheveled like a struggling artist? Does that help you more, or did the being kempt helps you more as far as
So
public appeal?
funny story. When I was a demolition derby driver, I would get the car, load it up on the trailer, load all the crap in the bed of the truck. Our torches, our spare tires, our everything. Then I would go take a shower, and then I would do my hair, and then we'd drive to the fairgrounds. I was the only one there that was like well kempt. I've always just liked to look my best, no matter what I was doing.
Isn't that important to like be like it's important to look good because it makes the people that look at you feeling that you care about yourself, therefore you care about what you're doing.
Yeah,
If you come in there looking at a slob and all disheveled and messed up, they're gonna probably think you're gonna do shitty work for them. I don't know. That's my impression.
and I just want to feel good about myself, and then I'm gonna actually feel good, while I'm there. So yeah, it works both ways.
Definitely does. So basically, this is what you got over here. You got your entire link tree, and your link tree is in the description of this video. And I also have your IG in the description of the video, but you have your Whatnot channel here. You've got your official website here with Midnight 127. You got Blick Arts materials affiliate. So I guess you're a sponsor. They're a sponsor of yours, and you have them in there.
Yeah, I'm an affiliate, so I get asked a lot at shows or live streams. What tools do you use? Well, you can go to my website, and I have all my tools directly linked to BlickArt, or if you just want to shop through BlickArt, click my link. I just get a little bit of a little cut. Doesn't cost anything extra to you as a buyer. It just helps me out as an artist.
Well, there you go. If you need to get stuff from Blick Arts, go to Adam's Fielding, and it won't cost you any more, but you'll be helping him out as well. Then you got your Facebook channel, and you got your IG. Out of all these platforms that you have, you got let's not forget the TikTok. You got a TikTok as well here.
Yeah, I don't dance, but I do try to upload some
working,
live.
nothing like that.
No, I tried that and it didn't work. So people really liked my my time lapse videos of drawing or coloring on Procreate.
Did you ever try twerking while you're time lapsing your art?
Yeah, but they can't see that. They can only see the screen.
What do you feel out of all these platforms are working the best for you as far as social media is concerned?
They all actually have their own unique functions. I'm finding Whatnot's a great selling app. It's kind of where I want to start migrating people to buy. Everyone needs an online store. I think I'm going to be modifying my website just a little bit, just to have very little there. Facebook is like where I like to have personal connections with people. They have the biggest groups. Instagram, I just like to show off the work for people that just want to scroll, see something cool, and then click it. TikTok's just something I do while I'm passing time.
I didn't notice you don't have an OnlyFans. I think you should need to add one of those in there. There's a very, very good group of people that will be able to support you there.
Yeah, we decided we were going to do that on another stream a while ago. What were we calling it? Pencils and penises or something like that. It was just ridiculous. I was like, oh my God, this went south so quick. But yeah. I don't know if people would.
You better go copyright that right now because I'm about to get in the patent office right after this.
Right, it's genius. Artists, we are starving, and I noticed someone had a question about any advice for artists who want to take the leap from a real job, yeah, just do it. Set up at shows, have your stuff ready before you take that leap. Always set up yourself for success before taking any jumps.
Yeah, get all your
So
ducks
you-
in a row. Not just drop everything and say,
Yeah.
"I'll figure it out."
Yeah,
I'll
you
figure it out.
will.
This usually work.
Yeah, that way that you'll hurt. I always say build your base wide, so when you do fall, you have something that's going to catch you, because you will fall here and there. It's not always going to be an up year.
No, it's
So-
part of the program.
It is, but build those relationships and definitely give yourself a little bit of grace, because it's going to be an uphill battle.
So everybody could definitely get all the information. I just dropped the link for the link tree as well. You could go and check out his website. I strongly suggest you go visit him during his Whatnot streams. And I really, we talked about this a little bit off air as well. And I really recommend that you try streaming onto another platform, IG or YouTube. But YouTube, you don't have a channel anyway, so you might as well start a streaming service on there where you're while you're doing your live drawing, or even when you're not doing your live drawing, you're doing commissions at home off hours. It doesn't affect you at any way having a camera on your work as you're drawing, and people could just see. You don't even have to really say anything. You play a little music in the background, just draw, and then people will be interested in as far as what you're doing. Even if you got 5 or 10 people looking at you at that time, just drawing, I'm sure you're going to inspire somebody with your art. And at the same time, I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people that enjoy and appreciate your art that would want to purchase it for you. So use it. It's there. It's free.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's the part that I've not really thought of, was putting myself out on all these streaming platforms. So it's something I definitely need to do. So if a QR code for random tips or whatever. I do have a QR code actually on all my business cards. I've learned years ago business cards are crap. People will throw them away, and they will never go where you want them to. So I gave them a QR code on my bookmarks, and it's increased my traffic by a significant percentage. So
People like stickers too for some reason.
oh, they love stickers.
What the hell's the fascination with stickers? Everybody wants to have a sticker.
I don't know. I have a little. It's called a Fat Max like tool cart that I take to all my cons. I put stickers on it, but it's my show in a box. Is the way it has all my essentials.
I don't know. All these sticker people freak me out. All they want is stickers. They stick them everywhere. Make me a
Right.
sticker. I'll make you a sticker. They shove stickers in your face. All right with the stickers.
I know, it's crazy.
So this is Adam's IG, just so you get an idea of some of the work that he does. Obviously, you saw the Fairyland that he had, the Spawn. These are really nice commission that you did of Spider-Man over here.
Yeah, I did that at Cincinnati. Yep, it's actually at CGC now. I actually got to hand deliver it to them with the fan there. So they
Really,
got to wait.
really nice reflective eyes.
Thank you.
I like that. Did you
what's-
put acrylic on those eyes, or is that all alcohol marker?
It's actually marker with white color pencil over it as sort of a gloss.
Really nice effect.
Yep, Todd Knox taught me that one.
Really,
But
really,
that-
really nice effect.
I look at my latest setup from this past weekend, and I think back to that 4-foot section where I had barely anything to cover, and now I look at 16 feet of artwork and different work, and it's crazy. All those
And
blue bins over to the right are original pages that I was selling.
How many
So-
mistakes did you make with your original pages, giving them away in the beginning for peanuts? I know every single artist made that mistake in the beginning.
Oh yeah, I did, but now I
Especially the
absolutely
covers.
have- Oh, I kept the covers. I wanted to hold on to them, but then I started selling them because I wanted to find the diehard collectors. So
The
yeah,
first
that's
thing I
it.
ever ask whenever I say new artist, do you have any cover art?
Yep.
First thing I ask how much. If it's cheap, I buy it.
You buy it, yeah, because they're gonna let it go.
Cover art, I will get that. That's really gnarly. Let me go back to that for 1 second. That is a gnarly piece. Is that all digital?
So, believe it or not, those were actually 2 sketch cards side by side for Jake, and I scanned them in at a high resolution because I was just going to practice coloring digitally, and I ended up making it a print.
Holy crap, that's wild.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then that was just because I've drawn the Max so many times. I figured I'd have
You gotta get a little Max action. You got a little bit of horror in you as well.
I love horror. I love it. That's one of my favorite genres.
Well, that's one of the reasons I asked you to specifically make those pieces for me. You do Bride of Frankenstein for me and Elvira, and I figured you don't get too many requests like that. How many people have you had to ask you for the Bride of Frankenstein?
3.
Yeah, it's not a very common one.
And
Elvira, I'm sure
Elvira.
you got more.
A couple, but yeah, I love drawing horror. I get a zombie a lot of things too. It's maximize or zombie, like that's it. There's gonna be issue 2's cover for my series.
So since we just passed through Prowl, you want to give a little summary of your own personal comic line Prowl to everybody in case they want to pick up a couple issues from your website, and at the same time let us know when your next Kickstarter is coming.
Yeah, so Prowl is basically, what if the wolf in sheep's clothing was there to protect the herd? It's about a vigilante werewolf in a small town. As I got sick and tired of everyone blowing up New York and San Diego, Chicago, I wanted something that I could relate to, which was small town living. So I built a whole story about the werewolf who was, based in this little bitty town, North Ohio, that I came up with. It's a fictional town called West Erie, and we're starting to have a little bit of fun. The whole premise is where that stone came from that turns him into a werewolf. And why does it turn him into it? So that's what we're going to be exploring in volume 1 and 2.
So he gets his powers from a stone and not that's
not the moon.
I like that cover.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was really fun.
That's a cool cover and very time appropriate. I guess somebody asked you that when Ahsoka first started again, right? That's a great cover as well.
Yeah, that was my buddy Mark. That was his very first cover he'd ever done. He just started setting up at cons this year. So I said,
what I love about drawing wolves and werewolves and stuff like that. You see all the little hairs and all the details, and you don't have to be perfect when you're making it. It could just you get that artificial texture. It's such a great effect. And you say this is this guy's first art.
First cover art, yep.
Well, kudos to your friend.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
I'm not gonna show everybody everything. You got to go to his IG and follow him, and then you could go and like everything on your own. You can see the rest of it. I'm not gonna give away. You never give away everything. You got to always hold a little back. That's how it works. It's just like this interview. We're not gonna continue. We could continue this interview easily for another 3, 5 hours, 10 hours if we want to, but we're not. Why? We got to give people a reason to want to come back and watch you. That's how it works, right?
Right.
We got to be good salesmen.
Yeah, that's right.
Just like when you're drawing something, you leave one line out and say, hey, next time, if you want to see where that line is going to go, you have to come and watch. You ever do that on purpose where you leave a piece incomplete that's like so good that you know that it's going to force people to come back and watch you complete it when you come back on line?
Not quite, but maybe I should. I'm
tease anybody like that?
No, I just get like, here it is. But I do tease panels of current books and stuff that I'm on. now that I'm working on Prowl again, there's going to be a lot more panels coming, just to tease the progress and where it's going. So, yeah.
You know what you should do? You start teasing all the pervs. You should start drawing like silhouettes of like curvy women, and then like making them think you're going to put all their lady parts in there, and then make them come out to the next screen. And then all of a sudden they're wearing full lady suits.
Or I can just make it so it's just a bunch of stack of like babies like in a trench coat or something. Like, ha, got you. You thought it was going to be a woman, but it's just a bunch of people like whatever. Yeah, just babies in a trench coat.
Yeah, you know what? That's an even better troll. Go for that one. That's even better. I like that even better.
I love screwing with people at cons. It's one of my favorite things to do.
But you can do that too. Do you feel that Whatnot's ever going to replace the con for you, or do you really need that human interaction?
I'm hoping it replaces the smaller cons that I may do like here and there. I've done a lot of like one-day shows where the interaction's great, but if I go there, if they have them multiple times a year, it's the same crowd and I have the same art. There's nothing of value for the fan or me being there. So I'm hoping it replaces those so I can focus on the larger shows, where the scouts are, where bigger publishers might be, bigger, projects that I can, hopefully line up in my queue. I'm hoping Whatnot will make it so that I have those versus needing to go to those.
Oh, we look like we were one human being when we're lined up.
Oh, because you were on the bottom.
Probably.
That's funny. That's funny.
That happens a lot here. Do you think that's funny, Bob? Bob was happy.
He's very happy.
He's been seeing a lot of happy little paintings and drawings and clouds and all kinds of things. But that being said, honestly, I can't believe that we went through such a long interview and time flew. I had a lot of fun. Are you more of an introvert or extrovert? Like, is this you normally when you meet you in person, or are you clamming up when we meet you in person?
No, I'm like this all the time. It's exhausting for my wife. She's the introvert.
Well,
I'm the extrovert.
The opposites attract.
Mm-hmm. We just adopt introverts. That's really all it is.
You do what?
We just adopt introverts. That's how they make friends.
There you go.
That's what she told me.
There you go. But that being said, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm definitely going to hold you to your promise.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that weren't on earlier and are on now. Adam said that he will be drawing with us during the C3 event during Insomniac Comic Book Nation theater, and it's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It should be real fun. And leave the kiddies at home because you don't know what's gonna be drawn at that time. But that being said, appreciate your time. I wish you the most success. I hope that we have you on again when you're ready to do that Kickstarter. And I could actually connect you with some other people that are specialists in Kickstarter promotion on their channels, like K-Pop, who's been very helpful in the chat and a good friend to me and the show. She does a lot of Kickstarter interviews and launches. So I'm looking forward to when the time comes again. And until the next time, thank you very much. And you know what? You deserve an official thank you. So here you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My friends, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I want to thank you much. Thank you very Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bet you never got a thank you quite like that ever before.
That is the best thank you I've ever received. I love that.
We take a lot of pride in our thank yous over here.
I can see. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun. Hopefully someone got some sort of inspiration out of it.
I hope so too, and I hope that they come and visit you and pick your brain until you say I can't take you anymore, and you block them. Then you become a Liefeld. I hope you become as big as an inflated ego that Rob has, and you get willy nilly with blocking.
Yeah, that probably won't happen. I wouldn't mind being as big as Liefeld, but I don't think I'll ever have that ego.
We'll see. We'll be following you. You still got a lot of career in your life. So
Good.
good night, everybody. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And I'm going to leave you all off with our fantastic intro that we also double up as an outro. No, it's not time for the interview. The interview is over. It's over. End of stream. Good night, everyone. Good night.